And
So
I gotta ask on behalf of the Chun Discord and the Chun Twitter crew, like, um, stand fierce. That being the centerpiece of your gameplay. How often did you get hit by drive impact from somebody getting hit by your stand fierce, or someone absorbing your stand fierce and hitting you with drive impact? Rather,
2 out of 10 times.
2 out of 10.
They're guessing. They're just guessing. Like no matter what. Like yeah, you're gonna get hit by it sometimes. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. Like if they guessed it, hey, good shit. I'm not gonna. It is what it is. But like that is the point. Like I said, if you are drive impacting here, I've already won. I put that in your head. So if you do it from here, God, I'm gonna perfect parry you, and I'm gonna reverse drive rush, and I'm gonna do another drive impact. You're gonna lose like 3.5 pips, and you're gonna feel like a horse's ass. Trust me, one of these days.
Hello, and welcome to Absolute Extras, the companion show to the Absolute Guard podcast, where we take deeper dives into topics that we find really, really interesting. Today I'm joined by Tanner, aka KingHippo 42. How's it going, man?
Oh, it's going excellent. It's a little sad,
Sad.
After the beta ended.
Yes. Yeah, today we're going to be talking about that open beta and how that impacted our lives this past week.
Yeah, it really was an event, and they say absence makes the heart grow fonder. Not true in this case. Not true.
Yeah.
I know it's only like a week. I am tearing, but it is funny.
I'm curious if it's like, are you still like tired from playing so much like I
am? No, because like I've been at this so long that like I can play for just a huge amount of hours and not sleep, and then it's because when I was a kid, this is going back 10 or 12 years, I could, we would play Injustice until 5:30
in the morning,
ride an hour back home, and then I'd have to get up for school or whatever in a few hours, and that just burned into my brain that. So it's like if I'm playing games, I rarely get like ultra tired, but I have to admit that I did get a little bit exhausted after that weekend. But I think we'll talk about this later. There were some things that made it so even though if you're tired, you can kind of keep going. That reminded me of those old days.
Yeah, what about like I guess like it's not, the age hasn't caught up to you yet. That's I
one of these days.
Yeah. I'm getting like back and neck pain and shit, and I know a lot of the older guys I know were feeling the same way. So I'm glad you made it out relatively unscathed.
My ass is so big that like when the numbness sets in, there's not enough. There's too much for it to like really affect me. So it's that's the one thing I would say. Oh yeah, my if I sit for too long, it would hurt. But no, I got a good chair. I work at the Office Max route. You know how it is.
Yeah,
you get a good chair. Yeah.
I also think that hitbox saves my posture when I play too, so it lets me play longer. But even that has its own limits. Like my spine starts hurting, and then there's like nerve tension and pain and stuff, and it gets too much. I played too much this past weekend.
You played too much. Well, you did way longer than I did, so I think that's why maybe I would get up, I'd go to sleep, and maybe I'd wake up to piss or something. I'd look over at the Discord, and it's still active and open, and it's like, did he sleep? I don't know. Like, so you were going way harder than I was, I think. Maybe that's why my experience just feels like it was kind of normal.
It's funny,
I had to work.
Too.
Yeah, I had to work a little bit that weekend too. So
you did?
I did. So I wasn't playing all the time.
I didn't even know that. Okay, wow. Yeah. I didn't have to work for any of the days on the beta, and so including the day after. So I was just a zombie the next day.
Yeah.
I remember like it was right when the beta ended at midnight, and I like got up, I think it was the three of us hanging out, you, me, and Jeff.
Jeff,
And,
yeah, we were all there. Yeah, because I remember the moment it ended, like hard 12:01.
Yeah.
You were out. It was hard out. It was crazy.
Yep. Because I got up and I'm like, it's so hot and sweaty in this room, like figuratively and literally. And I decided that I was gonna take a shower for the first time in a couple days. I'll admit to that.
Oh man,
and that
you're
was
not doing the stereotype of gamers.
yeah. I don't like Mountain Dew. I'll give him that at least. I didn't do any Mountain Dew or anything like that.
I can smell the Doritos on his breath.
But it's actually really impressive to me that you worked and you played less than me, but you were able to pick up 3 different characters. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that today, and just in general for this show, like to go into like some of the deeper mechanics and the character conversations that we wouldn't ordinarily be able to dive into on the normal show just due to time constraints and whatnot. So do you want to give an opening on like what your beta experience was like? I guess we don't even have to talk about characters. Just in general, yeah. What do you want to talk about with beta?
Well, so since it's very, very similar to the last one we had, so I don't think any more than that is really necessary to elaborate on it.
Sure.
I still have the same UI complaints, but I did use a little bit more features this time that I can elaborate on. So before I get into the character stuff, one thing I will mention is that you kind of convinced me and a few others to try out the tournaments that they have.
Yeah. The tournament
so we
mode.
actually did do that. So there's like at any one time they'll have like, it's a lot. It's like 25, 30 tournaments or whatever. And they're all 32-man brackets. It's all single limb. So there's no double limb. So they go by pretty quick.
Yep.
And you go into it, basically what it is, you sign up for one. And then it fills up. And once it's full, you'll get a big notification on the screen that says tournament starting, here. And you can warp to the room that it's in. And you just kind of hang around in the room and you're automatically pitched into a match. So you don't have to like actively, you don't have to seek out, you don't have to go on Discord and find Ball Snatcher 69 and, find him for a match. You can just get into the room and play your match, and they'll have the bracket up for you, and you can watch some of the matches at least on the, you can watch any match. So you can go and go around the circle, the lobby that they have, and go to any station and spectate. And then when it gets to the finals, you can actually watch it on the big screen that they have in the lobby, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yep.
I hadn't really played with those features a lot in the last time they had one of these, so I actually thought it worked pretty well. The timings of the tournaments were pretty few and far between, but maybe that was because it's 30 tournaments. It's a lot of people. Maybe they just can only run it every so often, but it's still pretty cool. It's a nice, and it kind of feels the same, honestly. It's just faster because you don't have to worry about people doing paper brackets and not knowing what they're doing. It's just fine. It just runs pretty well. So you don't have to, we're not on tournament standard time. Interesting, thought process here, but I think it works pretty well. I actually think it's a pretty neat mechanic and blows every other tournament mode in every other game I've seen out of the water. Not that there's really a ton of that.
Yeah, most of the tournament modes are usually like, hey, here's open this menu, and then you're going to put it together yourself and run it on this single unit, right? There's not really a... I mean, I guess like Street Fighter 4 had a tournament mode, and that didn't really go
We haven't really evolved past like Super Street Fighter 2 on the SNES, which also had a tournament mode. It was like, here's all the characters. You pick your one, and then you'll advance a bracket. And it's like, it's kind of all it is. I mean, that's really all you can do, to be clear, too. Like, I'm not saying they have to have like these bold innovations, but the spectating atmosphere is kind of fun. And it reminds you, if you've been to tournaments, it's kind of the same feeling, right? Like you could go to any setup that's available, watch what's going on. And especially for us, we all were colluding. And I think at least the one we were on, it was me, Mike, and someone else were all in the tournament together, or Thrasher. And so we all know where we were playing against each other, but all the other Arizona people were spectating in the lobby. They got in while they could because the lobby got full pretty quick, but they'd get in there and they could speculate and spectate and cheer on. And so that's kind of a cool thing. And my guess is in the full release, you can make your own rooms and things of that nature. So there'll be more features that we, are more like, kind of like how Street Fighter 5 had like the dojo stuff. My guess is you could do more specific or, unique communities that you can kind of have your own server and do stuff with. So that was really cool. I like that a lot. I actually think it's a pretty well I think it worked pretty well. It wasn't like there was timing issues. You got zoomed to the room you were supposed to be in. Easy to follow. So I was actually really impressed with that. I thought that's a pretty good feature.
Nice. Yeah, getting back to the tournament mode, I really enjoyed it. I think that it there was a downside to it in that like there were server issues, so we all got together and like it was like I think it was like you, me, Mike, I think Big Mac and Cradlito and Sia, like a lot of the Phoenix guys were all there.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
And we entered a bunch of different tournaments. I think Old Man River did too, Jeff did. And then like there was like a crash or something that kicked everybody out of the lobbies. I think the actual like whole Battle Hub lounge like collapsed on a couple servers, and some of those were running the tournaments. And so we all got kicked out. We basically couldn't play. So that was a bummer.
I remember that. Yeah, I forgot about that.
And so the only folks that survived was you two, you and Thrasher in the bracket, in that one server that happened to survive that great culling.
Yeah,
so we all were like, we all were like, all right, let's go cheer on Tanner and Mike, and we'll just go. And then like we just hopped because you guys were on opposite sides, if I recall correctly.
Yes, so we had to face each other in grand finals.
Yeah, so we basically just got to jump back and forth between your guys' matches, and you guys were sharing your screens on Discord, but we were also able to go and look at it ourselves, I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like you said, the grand finals actually had like a whole front screen area, and we had to go and like sit down in the audience and have our avatars like all cheering in a giant crowd. And it felt like a major, dude. Like obviously it's like Second Life version of major, but
the metaverse version.
Yeah, the meta major.
Yeah, the meta major. Yeah, it's our future, folks.
Yep. But like it was a lot easier on my legs. I didn't have to carry around an Excel spreadsheet on my phone to like find which pools were in which. It was just look at the Discord.
No shortage of chairs.
Yep, no shortage of chairs.
Yeah.
And
man, that is an unexpected issue you don't even think about, but then you get there and you're like, I have nowhere to sit. I got to stand for this whole thing.
Yep.
And now my feet hurt. Yeah.
Yep. And then like whatever game is going on at the time, and you look at the pools for that game, and you're like, all those fucking chairs are over there, and I just want to take one, but they won't let me. Damn that game, whatever game that is.
You're like, goddamn, them's fighting herds took all my chairs, and now I'm bitter. Now you hate the game, and like I didn't even play it. I don't even know what it is, but I hate it.
I remember it was Evo last year. Multiverses had like an entire area dedicated to itself with like full on PCs.
Big WB logo,
empty, dude. It was empty the whole time. I'm like, give me the chairs.
It's brutal. It was brutal. Rest in peace, Multiverses. You know, it was killed in the cradle.
Yes.
Your DLC will never be refunded.
That was early access. They're gonna do a season. They're gonna do an actual like full release. Pretty soon,
I forgot. Right, the early access option select they pulled. That was great. They were like, "Oh, it's in the fine print. You guys didn't read it." So okay, cool. I'll see you never.
I honestly, that's a good way to keep a dying game alive, is to just relaunch it. I hope that happens with Grand Blue as well. But
at least Grand Blue, like you can still play it. Yeah, I mean that's like the game can't die because you can play it, but Multiverses, I mean, I think you can play it offline technically, but I don't even know if you can do the versus mode, so it's fucked.
Yeah, that's fair.
Grand
that's
Blue,
a conversation for another day, I think.
It is.
But yeah, it was kind of like being at a major. The tournament mode.
No multiverses.
But no multiverses. It was only Street Fighter. They had some side tournaments with like a drone and a beach ball and a bull, but
oh yeah, they had those. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's a joke. There is no tournament mode for extreme mode that I saw in the depth, or the beta.
Just saying, DLC one of these days.
Yeah, that's a good look. And yeah, like you and Mike met in grand finals, and it was a fantastic match, I think. Did you play Chun, or it was Kim? You played Kim in that one, right?
Kimberly Mirror, if I remember right. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was interesting to see because Kimberly is considered like public enemy number 1 right now. I think on Twitter.
It is, yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on how your Kimberly journey went?
It was okay, I guess. No, so when on this version, I felt like last time I didn't play enough of, like I didn't play all the girl characters. I felt like I just didn't play enough. So my goal for this one was I'm just going to exclusively play all of them. Sure. I got them all to Diamond 1, so I felt like, that's a good enough time. Kimberly was the first trial out the weekend, so it was a little bit of getting back into the swing of things and learning how the game works and things like that. And Kim, it was weird because I remember everybody used to tear about how bad she was, and now she's like the exact opposite. And
yeah,
I feel like I don't know when the switch flipped. My guess is people watch Kazunoko play her. But yeah, I mean, I felt like Kim is, the one thing you want to focus on really is the fact that every time she has stand fierce, there is a pretty decent 50-50 where you can run and you can stop and it's safe, or you can let it run and she does the run up kick on you and it frame traps like every jab. So you have to reverse it, but if you stopped if you did stop, you're fucked. And both options are safe. So I pretty much all I did against most people was do that every time I could touch stand fierce, I would do it. And that was it. I mean, that's all really. And then I get to the corner. I didn't even bother looking into like that spray can bullshit. I don't do any of that. I would just do the same simple basic 50-50 over and over and over again until I won.
Yeah.
It's all very easily hit confirmable too. So
like, what was the counter to that 50-50 really? Like, I guess you could
I would just like you could parry, honestly. Like that was like if they ran stop, they could have thrown you.
Yeah.
Maybe. But it's you could either do that or mash it out and just kind of take the damage. But I would rather parry, and I'll risk, they'll just keep mashing jab because that's usually what you do because it's -2, so it's like you would have the advantage anyways. So
sure.
Yeah, but I would just usually parry, or I would, because drive rush gets beat by both options really, because you can run stop and probably react to it, and when she does the kickoff, if you don't do the third kick, she still gets hit. She gets hit if you don't do the third kick, but ironically, doing the third kick will sail you over the drive rush and kick them.
Drive impact, you mean, or the
drive impact? Yes, I'm sorry, drive impact. So that doesn't really work either.
That happened to me.
yeah. So it's it's really good, and I felt that was pretty good. I understand why people get a little frustrated because sometimes it feels like she doesn't have the greatest options against characters with like decent pokes. But you're gonna land stand fierce even if it's blocked. You're gonna get it at one point, and that's when the party starts, right? So it's like, to me, that's all that song and dance is worth just landing that stand fierce, right? So it's gonna happen. It's just statistically going to happen. So you kind of no one's blocking that fucking run overhead or the run low. No one's blocking it. It's not happening. And no one's learned to parry that stuff either. So it's like, you're gonna do that and get in, and then it's all hands on deck, and she can do a lot of damage, and then your level 3 hits, and it's over with a blink of an eye sometimes.
What I find interesting about that character is that, like, a lot of times characters with like high mobility options or offensive bullshit, for lack of a better phrase, they often are glass cannons and they have lower health. But in the beta build, at least, everybody had the same health.
Same health. Yeah.
So, like, it just seemed like it's like, well, what's the downside to playing like that then?
Yeah, well, that's kind of new to Street Fighter, right? The idea that some characters don't have lower health, that's kind of new.
Yeah.
And I always thought, to me, the ways you balance without balancing, the lower health, the this or that, these esoteric things, I feel like they never actually work. In the sense of like they never actually make it so that it's like no one has ever been like, oh my god, Akuma has 800 health, I can't play him ever. That's never happened in the history of the world.
Akuma players will say that though.
Yeah, but that's fucking cap. You know that. You know what it is. Yeah, it's or I can't play Phoenix. She only has 600 health. Like that's never happened. Ever.
She sucks.
I know, yeah. So it's one of those things that like they always say they'll, they do that and it's like it's a balancing act, but then they're never that risky either. Like it's like Cammy is taking zero risk in anything she does. It's not like, oh my god, all of a sudden she's gonna, oh man, she did this one risk too many and now she's dead. It never happens. So I'm glad that if they do continue that, so I don't know that for sure, but if they do continue it, I say good riddance. I don't think it really made a difference in the end. Like, yeah, obviously they'll be like, well, actually there was, a minute chip act. Yeah, of course there was. Yeah. You're going to chip out somebody when they have less health. But my point is that it never was like the proper leash on like really powerful tools that like it's always hyped up to be. So I don't really care either way. I will say though that Kim has this kind of built-in mechanic where her damage isn't like the highest until she does level 3 and she gets like an 11% buff, and then she does damage more in line with like how most characters can do.
It's 11%.
It's something like that. It's
man,
pretty it's a pretty huge jump. Yeah.
I thought it wasn't notable, but that does make sense for like those times when I was just like, oh my god, I got killed by Kimberly and it was really fast. I guess she does a lot of damage, but it probably has to do with that.
Yeah, I mean, she, that's why everybody does it. Like, obviously, a lot of it is autopiloting. Like, I'm just going to do level 3 because that's what everybody does right now. But there is like a big 11% walk speed and damage bonus for the rest of the match.
Jeez.
So, I mean, that's why, like, I remember, like, Mike would be like, why are you doing level 3? Well, there's such a bad combo. Blah, blah. Like, I want the buff,
Okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
So she does damage more in line with everybody else. Now, one thing that Kimberly lacks, which she may be the only character that doesn't have it, well, I guess with Guile, is that she doesn't have a crouch medium kick that's cancelable into stuff.
Right.
Hers is a low. Now it's more akin to if you play Street Fighter 5, it's going to be like Cody. Her crouch medium kick is plus on block.
Yep.
And she can combo after it if she's close enough. So what you'll see is people will drive rush with her crouch medium kick. And if it hits, they'll go into this big fuck you combo. And if it's blocked, you can just basically do it again. And you can still get plus frames. So it's a really solid move in that sense. But it is not something that you can like fish with poke. Now, she can do that with stand medium kick, kind of. It's a good move. It's the old Guy stand medium kick, but just turbocharged.
Was it special cancelable with Guy? I like the fact that it's special cancelable changes fucking everything about that.
Yeah, it does.
Move.
Yeah, because it's like and it's also like a move. Street Fighter 5 is kind of 6 is breaking the mold a little bit, and that like moves like that aren't usually special cancelable. It's like if Chun's standing medium kick in Street Fighter 5 was special cancelable. You just don't in Street Fighter 5 that kind of move didn't really. Karin stand medium kick, you couldn't cancel that. That's just not a move that most people think of as like a cancelable move. Now some of them are. So with Kim, that's her long range cancelable move. Now, to be clear, also you can't run like the same block strings you might do if you land like stand fears. Like the run stop stuff is not nearly as effective off stand medium kick.
Sure.
And she still can't link into like her big launchers for damage. So the damage off it, unless you drive rush, is not going to be very significant. But it is a very annoying move that you run into all the time. Nevertheless, because she has fast back walk speed. Right.
Yep. And then if you're looking for a low forward or something, that stand forward, will stuff it.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's just like a guy's old stand medium kick. It goes over lows a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, so it's a genuine throw loop in the corner. Very annoying to deal with. Her jumping elbow, just like Guy. Hers is even faster than that. It's very annoying. You think you're going to walk under her, comes right down on your head. So she's got a lot of great tools. I mean, I understand why people complain about her. It's very frustrating sometimes, but I think as people get better about, I don't give a shit about her high-low and all that stuff. Like, I think I put a video on Twitter of like, I'm just literally just holding parry as like the overhead and crap, low kick, all that stuff. I don't care about any of that.
I wanted to bring that point up too, in that like, the traditional like, ninja quick action, high-low throw, high-low left right, kind of style with teleport stuff, that stuff works in older games, but not necessarily in a game where you can just hold the parry button and negate all of that. It always just turns it back into strike, throw, and block, right?
Yes, it does, always. I said this on Twitter, like you can't cheat the throw. I'll make a lot of overt comparisons to it, but like an MK11, you cannot win offense without the threat of throw, even if you don't want to do it because it's risky sometimes. You have to build, because you can't tech while you're blocking in MK11, right? So just like in this, you can't, you can't tech while you're parrying,
right? You
get a punish counter. So you have to throw. You have to learn how to throw. You have to make sure you do it. And even if it feels risky or whatever, you kind of have to do it because somebody's going to parry all your shit.
Yeah. And to build on that, like, that's what I think separates Kim from other characters, in that, at least in this open beta build, she is the only one that I know that can combo after the throw, which changes, it tweaks your rock paper scissors risk reward ever so slightly, because throw is now not just a punish counter and into a throw loop. It's like the Kimberly bullshit. She's gonna like pop you back. The can's gonna explode. She's gonna EX is gonna drop you into a wall splat, into another mix up, and then back into the can. Yeah. And
now I would say she can only do it twice,
right,
maximally, right? So there is, because I always wondered, why is there two? Like, that seems like a really arbitrary starting point. Now I get it. Yeah.
What would, like, why 2 and not 3 in your mind?
Why 2 and not like 4? Why not 5? Why can't you just continuously build? Because Ibuki, if you think about like her kunai and stuff, she starts with like 5 or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I was thinking, like, why wouldn't they just give her more? It doesn't seem like it does a whole lot. Now I get it. I didn't get it before. Now I do. So 2 seems like a nice starting point.
Okay.
And also that you can only get back 1 at a time without spending drive gauge, because you to get 2 back, you got to do the OD version, right?
Right.
So I clearly think they thought about, like, well, she can do this in the corner. It's pretty good. Let's put a little bit of a leash on it. And now that might just be enough to take the round, to be clear. You only maybe have to do it twice, but there's at least, a little bit of restriction on it, a little bit, which I think is fine.
Yeah, it's another knob to turn, or another resource to consume, right? And then, like, I feel like that the cans, or like any stockable resource that carries over from round to round, which is crazy to me. That's brand new for Street Fighter.
That is new. Yeah, that's true.
And then super meter is another thing that carries from round to round, and you're like, okay, how do I want to use this? And then you get into conversations of like, round 1, do I use this? Round 2, do I use more than one super meter? Do I go for a level 2? Do I go for a level 3 to make that big comeback in round 2 and risk not having anything in round 3? The can kind of falls in that, and it's like you have 2, so now you have to pick between trying to win 2-0, or maybe handicapping yourself in round 1 to see how it goes, and then using 1 per round, or blowing them all in 1 round and hoping you get a restock option later. Like, there's a lot of different.
Does it not come back in the second round?
The cans? No, they go away.
Okay, that's even better then. I actually didn't know that, so that makes it even better. Like you said, you could go all nuts in your face all over the first round, and then it's like, well, I can't really do that again. So because the stock up is very, like, I think she can do it in combos. Like, if she does a long combo, does the stock up, she'll get 1, but you basically wasted the combo.
Yeah, because that's the inflection point when you would throw the can and mix up, right? So you've sacrificed the mix up in order to restock to do it again later.
Yeah, the only hope you'd have is someone's passive enough that they're not going to let you. You can just back up and do it again.
Yeah.
But my guess it's super long. My guess is somebody could drive rush in and do something and hurt her really bad for just trying to attempt it, even at like kind of like 3-4 screen range or something like that. So, like I said, I think one of the things that'll help a lot is when people get out of the Street Fighter 5 mindset that she's frame trapping you every second. She's not.
Yeah.
It's not. That's, if you look at the frame data, even if you try it out for yourself, that's not how it works. You could chain stuff, and that might feel like, oh my god, she's chaining stuff into me, but she's always going to be negative after the end of that. Mm-hmm. And there's probably even a gap there. You can see I put a video up of me and Thrash playing, and I'm just playing Chun-Li, and he on my 3rd jab, he perfect parries me. Just because you just got to tap it, feel it out. Like you said, you could feel it out. Like, oh man, it feels like, looping pressure, but it's not like it. We've talked before about how the frame data resembles more of like a 3D game, where the frame trap was the friends we made along the way. It's not like it's like actually super plus on block pressure all the time, unless you do it with drive rush, which will, that definitely changes things. But for the most part, if someone's just jabbing you or running up and doing a stand medium punch, crouch medium punch, that's not the same as Street Fighter 5. She's not like +3 or something. She's -2. And when she does the target combo, she's like -6. So you'll see a lot of people get hit when they do the target combo, the first 2 hits on block, and they'll back up and stand fierce. And it's like, okay, one of these days you should get bold enough and just throw out a crouch medium kick or stand medium punch or something. And trust me, it's going to hit, and you're going to feel less bad about her getting. Now, in the corner, it's still very obnoxious, because at any point she could cancel the drive rush, to do this, do that. So I'm not saying it's not oppressive, but I don't think it will feel as bad once people get acclimated to figure it out. Like, oh, this is how you play now. You don't have to sit there and take it, I should say.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about what that future looks like, right? Because the natural way of things is like, all right, so if everything's negative, then that means I can mash out of things more. And then it's going to turn into, I don't have pressure in this game, and this game sucks because I don't have pressure.
Well, people are going to say that they're
Yeah.
wrong. So
Yeah,
I mean, that's just
that's
it.
fair.
That's
fair.
what that's. I mean, literally, people say that about like every Mortal Kombat. That'll get. Oh, it's a Masters game. You mash at everything. It's like,
Yeah.
by the end, you'll be like, that's so stupid. Why do we ever think that?
The other side to think about that is like with Kim in particular, it's like, yeah, I got mashed out of my string, but she had to do a jab to do it and into a target combo, and so now
it only
I'm
works
not
on counter hit.
Right, and so it's like that. This shit is hella scaled, and like there's some corner carry, but not a ton. So it's really not the end of the world when Kim mashes you out, I think.
Yeah. Well, also like the reality is what people are going to do, because they do this in Street Fighter 5 already, but they have more frames to play with. At least that's actually like very advantageous to do. You have to like, I'm going to do stand jab and a crouch medium punch or standing medium punch and hope it hits.
Yeah.
Right. Like because I'm going into like a combo, or I'm going into a target combo, and I might drive rush cancel the target combo.
Yeah.
Because you're not hit confirming that. And you just kind of hope that it's hitting. That's because, trust me, when you look like someone who's like doing counter hit combos and you feel like they're the second coming of Christ.
Yeah.
Trust me, they are doing it automatically. They are not like,
yeah, they're not doing it on block, or they are doing
not
it on
every
block,
time.
rather.
Yeah. With jabs, with mediums, they might actually be able to react to it. I'd say that's probably pretty common. But a jab, no. They're just doing it, and it naturally goes into the flow of pressure and a combo. So yeah, they have to do that, and it ends their pressure if they're wrong.
Yep.
In a sense, right? So I don't think it'll be as bad. I think people will get the hang of it, but it is very overwhelming. Like, and it can end the game real fast, and it feels bad. But obviously Kim, I agree with the criticisms that she doesn't really have a lot. She can move back and forth pretty fast, but she doesn't have like great normals to just throw out. Her sweep is really good.
Okay, I was gonna say, what about that sweep, Tanner?
Yeah, but it's a sweep, right? Like, it's not like oh my god, this great crouching medium kick and hers is pretty good, but the sweep is really annoying because it's -8 and
it's -8
at the tip of it. It's like it really sometimes can't hit this back.
It's not just that, but like there are many characters that like their sweep is 9 frames, and so like that
it's like
whole
the Karine sweep in Street Fighter, like the first version where she could sweep all the time and nobody else could.
Yeah, it's exactly that. Like. Yeah, and like I thought we were past that. That's the phrase. That's what I'm thinking of. So I'm like, because usually when it's like the way Street Fighter 5 ended up was if I block a sweep, I can usually sweep them back
over. Yeah.
And most Street Fighters, I feel that is that way. Like Third Strike's like that. Street Fighter 2's like that. Right? No, actually, Third Strike's not like that.
Yeah, it's like no older games. That sweep gave you push back into God.
And Street Fighter 2, they could do sweep into Fireball. So I'm full of shit. Never mind. No, I would like to be able to punish a sweep with a sweep.
You kidding me? No. Not
oh man, I am full of shit. Okay, that's fair.
But it's sweep. I agree that yes, generally, even in Street Fighter 6, for the most part, you sweep back. Like that's usually the gameplay. Now, if you're Luke, you might have a little bit of trouble with that. Against Kim, you might have a little bit of trouble with that. So yeah, it's a really good move, but I think the fact that it is a sweep means that it's only going to be so good, right? Like if she gets a counter hit, it is going to do the hard knockdown.
Yep.
You're not going to be able to back roll, so she will run up and probably try and throw you or do something. But I think that's fine. I think it's good. I like good sweeps. They're annoying, but you gotta have something. She doesn't have a crouch medium kick combo to stop you from walking back. I mean, she's got to have something good. Because people are just going to walk back on her all day. And if she doesn't have the threat of something, then it's going to feel pretty bad. So I think sweep is a good midline option.
Yeah, I agree. I like it. It sucks for sure to deal with that sweep because of how explosive it can be. Like imagine if it crush countered, if it had like a crush counter glass shattering sound too, I feel like people would be extra angry about it.
I would be so pissed every time. Yeah.
But the big thing is like, hey, I got hit by. I got hit by this and now I have to take another mix up versus, hey, I got hit by this and now I'm in the corner.
Yeah.
So it's the lesser of two evils.
It ended my life. Yeah.
Yep. Basically.
Yeah. At least that didn't happen. Yeah.
Yep.
Her Super 1 definitely sucks though as a reversal. It's crap.
I heard about that. So she just doesn't have a reversal level 1?
Well, she does. It's just bad. Like it's slow. It doesn't hit very well. Like it hits like directly in front of her, so it's like she runs and does it, so it's like it's not the greatest reversal in the world. But
Got it.
she already has a pretty good OD reversal too.
Yeah.
So it's like, and her anti-air, I would argue, is just good between her crouch fierce and her
And her
hurricane
Tatsu.
kick.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, great stuff.
No, I agree.
So I don't think she's hurting in that direction in any way, but I definitely get why people feel overwhelmed by her. But I guarantee you, once you get better at playing the game, it won't feel as bad. It'll feel bad, but it won't feel as bad. And also, most people don't do the actual like really good 50-50. They do like bullshit like run stop stuff, which feels bad. But like once you mix it with the I'm gonna run into you and kick off you thing, that's when it feels bad. That's when you actually feel like I don't have any options.
Yep.
Because like she's just gonna do it over and over and over again, and I have to guess. Like that was, and I guess I'll get into like one of the things that like when I look at a character, I immediately right away look at like, okay, what is the easiest strategy I could do over and over and over again? And there's not really a counter to it. And for Kimberly, that's absolutely it. Like you have to think your way out of that one. And most people aren't thinking. They're just not. So if I can do that over and over and over again, I'll probably win the round. And so I usually just do that. And with any character, I just figure out, my goal is to figure out what that strategy is and just do it over and over again. And I'll learn as people counter that. If it's the centerpiece of my strategy, then I have to obviously build around that. But if I don't know, I just have to field test it and see what works at game speed and what doesn't. And then I'll go from there. So that's how I learn like Kimberly and Juri and Chun-Li. I just see what they do. And then once people learn to counter it, I'll figure out a way around it, and round we go, and I'll figure out how to play a character, I feel.
Okay. So your centerpiece with Kim would probably be Stand Fierce to run, and plus whatever, plus the mix-ups there. You mentioned Chun as well. What was the centerpiece for that character?
So with Chun-Li, you want to be right in, for me, Stand Fierce range, like where it would hit at its tip. Because right there, people have a couple choices. They can either jump to avoid the Stand Fierce or Fireball. Chun-Li has a very easy to use drag uppercut. And in my opinion, at least. I know we've disagreed on that, but in my opinion, her uppercut's very easy to use. So you can do it pretty easily and reaction from that way. They'll walk in to try and start their game. But if they walk past Stand Fierce, and walk right into crouch medium kick, which is exactly what Chun-Li wants to land. So that's threatening. You can also, at that point, you can throw your Fireball. And if they were already trying to move forward to get into crouch medium kick range, or they're trying to move out of Stand Fierce range, they're not going to do anything about it. And so then you pretty much can do whatever you want. I mean, you can Fireball. If you don't want to move while you're charging Fireball, you can back Fierce, back Fierce, back Fierce, back Fierce. You got Fireball charge. So you don't have to sit there and be fat with a crouch hitbox. You can keep moving. So you'll see if I play Chun-Li, I'm very fluid. I'm always moving. I've never stayed crouched for very long because I don't want to. And once you can run your game, once they're sitting there waiting to react to you, you can walk up and throw. You can walk up and start jabbing them, waiting for a counter hit combo to materialize out of thin air, because it'll happen a lot. You drive rush. You can throw a Fireball, drive rush after it. I mean, all the options in the world are right there. And to me, that's where she's cheapest, because you can't do anything that she can't really have an answer for. And all those answers can lead to really big damage. Like if you hit a counter hit Stand Fierce and you're already going into stance, oof, hurts bad. Crouch medium kick, drive rush, hurts bad.
Yep.
Her anti-air, if you can land certain versions of her anti-air that hurt really bad, but her just in general, the knockdown she gets from the uppercut's really good. Decent damage. You get air throw too. Yep. That hurts. So to me, I felt it was the easiest to play character, because I almost at any point I never felt like you have the advantage over me. There's nothing I can do. It's like, no, the other character probably felt that way. They probably feel that way a lot. Also at that, also at that range, when somebody fireballs you, going to be very easy to parry it. Perfect parry it every time.
Okay.
And if I do that and I'm holding forward and they throw another one and I perfect parry it, now you're in crouch medium kick range. Now it's punish counter. Now I'm taking your life.
Okay.
So that was where I wanted to be with Chun-Li. You just have to stand in that spot, and the world is your oyster.
Yeah, I'm taking notes here, because I think that I was trying to figure out, because we had a chance to play the Chun versus Chun mirror, and I was trying to figure out like why you were standing the way you were, and because me coming from Street Fighter V, and how good that fireball is in Street Fighter V, you know, my natural inclination is to always have it charged. And so, you know, in the process of that, of like having it charged, I'm doing like random stuff to like mask it, like duck walking or moving back and forth quickly and whiffing jabs and stuff, right? And so I'm playing extremely active, and then on your end, you were basically just standing at the same range. So I'm like wiggling back and forth like a boxer, like doing this, like you're right here, and then you're just like, you know, standing like bravely.
He's just standing there, menacingly.
Yep.
You know, it's one of those deals. Yeah.
So, but it's good to know that it's at the fierce range. I wasn't even thinking about that.
When Chun-Li, when she parries and she does she's standing with her arm behind her back like this. That's how I play her. She's just standing there and she knows everything she can do, and you don't know a damn thing. And to me, that's like also because if they DI, they're guessing.
Yes.
And if they're guessing DI, I'm gonna fuck you up so bad.
So that's the big thing here, is that you're standing at stand fierce range because you're threatening with stand fierce, right? Yeah. But you know, if I were to take the general opinions of the Chun-Li community on Twitter about how good Chun is, you know, a lot of them are really angry about that stand fierce not being as good in this game. And so I'm curious about what you think about that button, and why is it good enough to be the centerpiece of your game and the distance that you choose to stand at?
Well, I would say much like Chun-Li stand fierce in like every game, it's just an insanely good poke. Like it's super long. It's pretty, I mean, it's not super fast, but it's fast enough to where it's like, damn, that hurts. I would say it is unsafe, but most of the time with the pushback it gets and where you're doing it, no one's going to punish you for it. It is unsafe to go into like stance. So if you're kind of automatically doing that, hoping for a counter hit, yeah, you're probably going to get hit, but you know, I'll take it. It happens.
Yeah.
And the stand fierce landing it is really not the point. The threat of it is the point. It's not the stand fierce. Like it is not the, I needed, that's going to be a combo starter. No, it is. So in basketball, I don't know if you watch basketball, but in basketball, the idea of the triple threat is when you have the ball and you're dribbling and you've got it and defender's right in your face. Now you can pass the ball, you can shoot the ball, or you can drive it. So drive it past the defender.
Okay.
They have to guess. So you have to you could move forward with your foot. You could do like a jab step and fake them out, go the other way. You could jab step, fake a shot, pass it. You know, you can do all that. The threat of the shot or the pass doesn't, the defender's trying to get that, but that really isn't the point. The point is I could do that. So what do I do to confuse someone into thinking that's what they have to hyper focus on? And if you hyper focus on my stand fierce, you have lost so badly. I can't even begin to describe how bad you lost. If you're like, man, Chun stand fierce, I can counter this. I've got her beat.
Sure.
You have not. Yeah, you're not even close. I think most people would, and I don't think it's wrong necessarily. I think most people would be like, well, I'm going to stand forward medium punch range. Yeah. Very good poke. Very good poke. But to me, you're better off walking into that rather than I'm going to poke you with it on block.
And I can build on that one because that's my favorite range, which is like right out of sight of stand jab range and right in forward medium punch. We're going deep on Chun on the show, by the way, guys. So I'll buckle up.
no one else is going to, so why not?
Yeah, that's true. Nobody else is.
No one ever talks about Chun-Li, so it's fine.
And
people saw that stance and were like, no, sir, I ain't talking about that shit.
Right before we started recording, I tuned into or I watched the VOD for Event Hubs' podcast, and John Velociraptor and John Catalyst, they put Chun-Li at 1 and 8 respectively.
So she's both the best character and the worst character.
Yeah, she's a polarizing character, I think. So
yeah, I guess so.
But that's the thing though. So I mentioned I stand at that range, right? I stand at forward medium punch range, and the issue that I run into constantly is when do they commit to the jump? And when they commit to the jump, I'm in that ass already, and I'm either committing to a button or I'm blocking because I'm trying to stay at that range, and then I have to eat this really deep / ambiguous looking jump in, which the DP might not autocorrect. I might not react in time. They might empty jump instead or something. Like her anti-airs, I believe, are her weakness. And I found that you didn't have that big of a problem because you were standing at fierce range instead. And so when somebody would jump at you, it would be a simple DP, as you put it.
Yep.
Or alternatively, if you're doing the walk into forward medium punch range, as you just mentioned, you see a jump, you just keep holding forward, and you walked underneath me multiple times.
Jab. Yep, jab punish when you land, because most people throw out a move, and then you could just landing lag. You could punish that. You could just hold up an air throw. I mean, there's a lot of things you could do.
Mm-hmm.
The thing with the reason why I chose that range is exactly why you said that, because if you're in closer, there's less time for me to react to things like that. Now you'll see there's some games I have against Thrasher where you can see it where because I'm standing at that range, he walks in, I do crouch medium kick, he jumps, I can still perfect parry the cross up. I do it a few times, because I can react to it. It's not like a super hard thing to do. It's one button. The crouch medium kick has just enough. Now, if they jumped over my stand fierce, I may be in a little bit more trouble. But again, I think that's worth the risk. If I've got them jumping at stand fierce range, I'm probably already winning, and I don't know it, because that's a pretty big, bold jump in to do.
That's a very dangerous range to jump at, because that's like the non-ambiguous part for Chun-Li's
exactly.
anti-air,
It's not ambiguous at all, right?
It's just raw deep, heavy DP is just gonna get you no matter what.
But if you keep walking in, you think you've made it past stand medium punch, but now you're hovering in crouch medium kick. Now you're in real danger.
Yeah,
because you try to now I've gone too far. I need to walk back. Well, but when you're walking back, I'm walking forward and hitting crouch medium kick. Now you're lucky I can't one hit confirm it. If you could, you'd be the best character, no doubt. But she's not. So you can do that though, and I think to me that is her sweet spot, because you can do all of that, and then the game begins, right? Like the game beyond that, and how they're going to counter that. What could they possibly do? And I would say the one thing I do that I don't think anybody else, that even, I'm going to toot my own horn here. Anything I've seen where people are walking forward and parrying fireballs with perfect parry, and then just throwing out a poke because it's either punishing or because they thought they could move.
Yeah,
and they could.
I want to get into that one. I figured that one was going to be a big part of our conversation today, because a lot of, like, even in your description for Chun earlier, it was, one of her strengths is her fireball being so strong, in that she recovers really quickly and she can follow in behind it. And
it's also visually confusing.
Yeah, it does disappear early a little bit too, huh?
So I would say, like, to me, that's the advantage that she has, it, and Jury has this too.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to tell sometimes when it's ending.
Yeah.
And because Chun-Li, unlike Jury, can do 3 different versions that all look very similar, but man, parrying them consistently, I don't think it can happen. It's just they're too visually distinct. The only thing you could pay attention to is the way she throws it, which I believe is a little bit different every time. But even that, I don't know if it's super reliable. It's hard. Like, hers is better to me even than, like, as far now as an anti-parry tool. I don't mean as in general, but like even than Guile Sonic Boom. To me, that's an easier visual tell than the Chun-Li fireball. And I think that's a unique thing that she has that they did in this game on purpose.
That was my next question, is do you think that was on purpose? And I agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's a lot of characters like in this game that you can tell that they deliberately gave somebody another option to throw off parry. Like Cammy's
look at all
dive
the
kick.
Shoto. Yeah, Jamie's dive kick, the Shoto characters' fireballs, they're the wildly varying startup times. As fast as 12, as low as 16.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that was absolutely done on purpose, because you kind of have to. Otherwise, if the timing was easy, people would get it every time.
Yep, agree. Yeah. And and there's this idea right now, I think, that a lot of the strong characters can throw a fireball, follow it in, and in the current meta of the open beta, at least, everybody was burning out constantly, and so anytime you could get a fireball into a big block string, like that was going to put the match in your favor a lot of times. But your use of parry, and you've gone into this on Twitter at KingHippo42. There's the plug. There's a big thread in there about parrying those fireballs and what that looks like. Because you basically nullify that entire advantage by being able to perfect parry a fireball, right? You're not taking any block stun from the fireball anymore. So from the perspective of somebody who's aggressing behind the fireball, I don't actually have any cover. And so numerous times, whether I was playing Ken or I was playing Chun, you would perfect parry a fireball, immediately stick out a normal, and I'd walk into it. Like, it wouldn't be a punish counter even. It wouldn't even be a counter hit, because sometimes I would just be walking forward behind it. Yep. And then I'd get bam, low forward DRC.
Yep. That's that was my strategy. I try it all the time, and I feel like it works pretty well.
Yeah.
We'll see when there's some characters that have, you know, little tricky fireballs like Dalzim and JP and stuff when they get in there.
Yeah.
My guess is JP's designed specifically around confusing you with that. But for the most part, I think it's a solid strategy. Not that I don't think fireballs are good. This is not Third Strike, to be clear, but I think one thing that we kind of have to change our minds about, because it's not how it used to be, but it is true. You no longer, you know, fireballing someone out no longer denies them meter gain, chips them on block. The traditional things that are really annoying about good fireballs just doesn't exist, right? So like, because I didn't play him in this beta, I did play him in the last one, and I it's not that I don't think he's good, but like with Guile, for example, old goalie bully. The thing you have to think about with him is like, so in Street Fighter V, as far as I could tell, the reason why he was so good was, you know, you got Sonic boomed a lot, you get a bunch of white life would build up, so you had to move in. You couldn't get any super meter because you weren't doing anything, so that was annoying. He had really good pokes, as he always does. His anti-air was impeccable, as always. And then he had the new Sonic Blade that he could throw and then walk behind it. His offense was really good because he had very big plus on block normal that he could get into range with easily because of the way he'd walk behind Fireball.
Yep.
So you never had enough meter. He always had it. And he'd get V-trigger and he'd do a 50 billion hit combo and kill you. And so it was the regular Guile game, but pumped up by a million because he had offensive strength. Now, to me, in 6, what we're dealing with here is like, okay, now his Sonic Boom no longer chips you to death. He can't even chip you if you're, you know, if you're good. You can parry it. Even if you miss perk parry, you don't lose anything for parrying it. So that's number one. Number two, you already have a full meter to start the match, your OD gauge. So you don't need to build meter to do damage or anything like that. Now, of course, you want to build super, but you'll get that pretty naturally throughout the game. I don't think it's that big a deal. Like, oh, I can't build super. I'm not sold on that being like this huge problem. And then, so it's like, then his normals aren't as plus as they used to be. He can still apparently do the combos, although I will challenge how long we'll see that actually come to fruition. I'm a little skeptical. And then, so that leaves, then he has still impeccable AA. True. Great normals. True. Still true. I would say his flash kick being as fast as it is in this game means that he can punish a lot of stuff that most people can't, which is pretty cool.
Yep. From half screen too, it reaches very far.
Yeah, very, very far reach. But ultimately, how's he going to kill you by hitting you with crouching medium kick a lot? Or Sobot or something. I don't understand. Like, to me, that is where I'm not sold on this Guile is going to kill the game. You know, kind of hyperbole some people are on, where it's like, I don't understand. Like, he really can't chip you to death just by doing Sonic Booms like he normally does. He's going to have to get a little bit creative with Drive Rush or something to start something. Now his crouch medium kick is so plus on block that, or on a hit, that if he lands a Drive Rush crouch medium kick, he does get a full combo. That's pretty good. So like I said, I don't think he's bad by any means, but is he good in the traditional sense that like people freak out about? I really don't think so. And I think it's because you can parry his Sonic Booms pretty easily, in my opinion. Like, I don't think the speed is varied enough when they're coming at you, and it's such a big projectile. Sure. Now the Sonic break, I think, is still a good move. Like, I'm glad he has it as a regular move, because now that's his way of messing up that timing, right? Or getting enough. Like, even if you parry it, he's gonna walk in at some point. But is his offense amazing enough now to where he gets in and it's like, oh, it's over? I'm skeptical. That's all I am.
He's not the overpowered monster that's undebatably top one and broken that you think he is. That the internet thinks he is.
Some of the internet thinks he is. Yeah. Because like I said, you'll have to show me. Someone will have to show me how when someone is like parrying booms, so he's not really getting an advantage from doing them. Because people get burned out because they're blocking a bunch of booms, and then they're gonna block his drive rush stuff, and then of course they try to drive rush or drive impact through his pokes or whatever, and they're burned down. It's like, yeah, of course, of course you got burned out. And my guess is he's one of the worst characters to be burned out against. It probably feels pretty fucking bad. But because he can do chip again, and he has very good fireballs, so it's gonna feel bad. But like I said, his normal game of just doing booms and hoping that you walk into him. What if you didn't have to do that? What if you could in fact stand your ground and actually not move and still get rid of his fireballs?
Yeah,
and he would have to think of a way to just kind of nip at you with pokes, which do have long recovery. Like if he whiffs upside down kick, that's drive impact.
Yep. Oh, yeah. like on reaction?
My guess is people will get good enough that when they see him do that fucking stupid flip and they hit DI and it misses. Oh yeah.
Okay.
So it's I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah,
I find Ryu and Chun-Li to be the best characters in the beta.
Ryu, okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right. What puts those two characters above Guile in your mind?
So for me, Chun-Li has the offense around her fireballs and where she stands to where you can't just sit back and all day parry, because her fireball is slow enough that she can start walking behind it. So even if you do parry it, she's already probably gotten to the spot she wants to be.
Okay.
It's not like where Guile's, she zooms it out of his body. Hers actually is quite slow, very, very slow. So, and she doesn't have to like Jury, she doesn't have to do, stance it up to get it. She just can charge it. So that's really good. Her damage is really good. Very good damage off of very common things. Crouch, medium kick, drive rush, jab, jab, counter hit combos, all that stuff. She has to spend drive meter like everybody does, but she can do really good damage. And she has, like easy OD move extenders. So like OD spinning bird kick, in the corner you got OD fireball. And because you have the stance, you don't actually have to charge for that stuff. So a lot of times you can get into a decent combo without doing you don't have to like charge wizardry to, charge partitioning or whatever to do the combo.
Yeah. It's like a risk reward thing though, right? Because you have to commit to going into the stance while you're doing it.
You do.
But the option the option of converting off your pokes meterless is something that every time I've seen Chun be able to do that in any game she's in, and like whatever game she's in that she can do that, she's top.
Yeah.
Like Street Fighter 3 with the third strike rather, like the fact that she can convert off the godlike low forward and the back fierce, then she's great. Cross Tekken.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. 100%.
And then coincidentally in 4 she could not convert off of a lot of that stuff, and she wasn't as good.
Yeah. So you can do EX legs from crouching short, and that was pretty good. But like you eventually saw she was like a counter pick character. She was not like a strong enough character on her own,
right,
for anybody to really do anything about. Also another thing about Chun, excellent supers. Every single one, extremely useful. Especially her super art 2.
Yes. Your team super art 2 with me? All right.
Yeah, it changes. It changes the whole game. Like once you have it and you're a fireball character, or even if you're Jury and you've got to, charge up a stance or whatever, holy shit, are you fucked? Because if I'm at stand fierce range, you know how easy it is to react to some of that stuff
with super.
Oh yeah. I would do it all the time, and you would do it all the time to me too.
Yep.
And it does really good. It does really good damage. You get her, if you do it in the corner, you get like her optimal safe jump stuff off of it. If you have another bar, you can link another super 1 after it if you want to.
Yep.
So it does everything for you. It's a really great super. It's fast. It's pretty invulnerable too. Like you can blow through some stuff that you might think you would be able to.
Yeah, it's not just fireball invulnerable. It's like full on invulnerable. So there are times when I use that over Kikosho because I know that it'll kill. Because the follow-up combo is legitimate. Like where it's you launch them into the air and you can do an air combo, or like you can go into the safe jump, like you said, or you can dump more meter. I've been in the situation where I had 2 bars, like 2 and like a half bars or 2 and 2/3 bars, and then the follow-up combo built me that last bar to tack on a Kikosho at the
Oh yeah, I'm sure, because you could do stomp, stand fierce, or jump fierce. So it's a great. I'm not saying it's third strike good, but it's pretty darn close. I mean, it's we're looking at a very, very good move here.
Yeah, I mean it's got a lot of the similar traits as third strike as far as like like being able to combo off of pretty much every single one of her starters. There's some like little idiosyncrasies that I think tick some people off, like you can't do it off heavy legs or something. But like the other like really strong value that super brings is the drive recovery on it, because
it's great because it starts when the last kick happens, but you get the combo after it. So you
yeah,
get drive recovery pretty darn good.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like you couple that with a safe jump, and there are times when I'm like, I'm gonna burn like 3 or 4, even 4 meters to get you to the corner to combo into SA2, safe jump, build my meter back, and then put you in a safe jump block string, and then suddenly we're at even, because it's also doing drive damage to you too.
Yeah,
you know,
why wouldn't I just do safe jump into crouch fierce, hard legs or whatever, and just there goes, now I'm back to 3.5, maybe close to 4 pips again.
Yep.
There's no reason why not to. So yeah, I think that move is great for her.
Yeah.
And I think so. To me, she's got the anti-fireball lined up, and that stand fierce range, like I said, incredibly hard to work against. Anti-air is really good. She's got it all. Like to me, she's threatening at every range, which is not easy to say for every character. The only thing I would dock her against is she doesn't get the greatest Oki off a throw. She can't have everything,
She can't have a throw loop.
Can't have a throw loop. Can't have it.
She shouldn't, but I want it.
No.
But I want it.
Yeah, I don't endorse this, to be clear. So
I would rather everybody else get their throw loop removed, and that would passively buff my character. Yeah. Oh, they give her one. Yeah. There you go. That's the ultimate. There you go.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and then also, like you said, because she has a safe jump in the corner, and just in general, like her pressure in the corner is really, really good because of her walk speed, because how much her jabs push back. She can a lot of times walk out of the range of your best move and just hit you with something of her own.
Yep.
So she just is threatening almost all the time. When you're in burnout, one of the worst characters to be in burnout against. Hard kick legs is your worst nightmare in burnout. That move is just a brick wall. If you block one, man, you better be mashing your life out because you're not getting out easy.
Yeah, it's hella plus.
It's really brutal to be against. Yeah. So when she burns you out, like I said, she again becomes like, oh my God, I can't do anything against this character. So to me, she just like Hazanshu is like, people will be like, oh, Hazanshu barely works. I'm like, okay.
No, Hazanshu, like I've never seen so many polarizing opinions about Hazanshu. Like the people that use it hate it. The people that get hit by it hate it. They hate it. Yeah,
for sure.
Like I've been told that it like breaks the game because it denies, like it's a one and done. Like it's a Swiss Army knife. It does everything. It overheads. It blows up fireballs. It blows up lows. It's safe. It's plus and burnout.
The only thing unfortunately can't do is blow up Kimberly Sweet.
Correct. Yeah.
You get hit by that more often than not.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it's just another good thing she has. Like it doesn't even have to be the best. It just has to exist, right?
Yep. And I gotta ask on behalf of the Chun Discord and the Chun Twitter crew, like, stand fierce, that being the centerpiece of your gameplay. How often did you get hit by drive impact from somebody getting hit by your stand fierce, or someone absorbing your stand fierce and hitting you with drive impact? Rather,
2 out of 10 times.
2 out of 10.
They're guessing. They're just guessing. Like no matter what. Like yeah, you're gonna get hit by it sometimes. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. Like. If they guessed it, hey, good shit. I'm not gonna. It is what it is. But like that is the point. Like I said, if you are drive impacting here, I've already won. I put that in your head. So if you do it from here, God, I'm gonna perfect parry you, and I'm gonna reverse drive rush, and I'm gonna do another drive impact. You're gonna lose like 3.5 pips, and you're gonna feel like a horse's ass. Trust me, one of these days.
I get it. Okay, so
you do it to me closer. I'm gonna have a hard time reacting to it. But if you're doing it from here, you got lucky once
from stand fierce range. Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
Okay, and I think that's the general attitude that we should take as Chun players. I'm speaking to the Chun Discord and the Chun Twitter right now, and that stand fierce is a poke still, but it has a hard counter, and if you get that hard counter, then that's data to really blow somebody up later for it, because Chun can really dish out that damage.
Right. It's also, like I said earlier, it's more the point of it is that it exists and you can get hit by it and it hurts. It's not that I'm doing it like spamming it all the time.
Yep. And
just in the range of it.
That's the like, you watch a Street Fighter, you watch like a David Sirloin Street Fighter 2 video, and they say you need to David Sirloin.
Sirloin, yeah, absolutely.
You need to occupy space. You need to take up space. Anytime like an OG would tell you need to take up space, I never understood what that meant, because I'm like, the hitbox isn't on the screen. It's not taking up any space, but it's the mental space. That's the thing.
Space.
Yeah. He's tapping in on his head right now, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I'm tapping the temple. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the game, right? Like it's that their options are there, and that's what makes you stop. It's not that it's physically impassing you, because I think a lot of people read that wrong, and they're literally just throwing out like their crouch medium kick over and over and over again. And in this game, you can get whiff punish for that super hard.
Yep.
I don't recommend it. Because like I play a lot of people, people would give me props on my like whiff punishing skills. I'm like, it's not that hard. People are just whiffing right in the range where I want them to be.
Yeah.
The easy part is that. The hard part was getting them to stand there and do that over and over and over again.
What was your primary whiff punish with Chun? Did you get the Juicy Fierce whiff punish ever?
I got it a few times, and I learned by the end to do stand fierce, and I would see it counter hit. And when I went into stance, I would do the medium kick instead of the light kick. Okay. I did do that a few times, and I felt my balls swell up 4 times like the Grinch. Grinch. So that was good. 10 feet tall, strong as an ox, all that. But for the most part, it was crouch medium kick, of course. And stand medium punch as well. Drive, rush, cancel, do all that stuff.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And so you also mentioned Ryu as top as well. What's your opinion on that, and why?
Well, so like Ryu Ken, obviously very similar. They have very similar normals ish. The only difference is Ken's stand medium kick is like more of like has a purpose move instead of a poke, because it's quite unsafe for a poke. Yeah. Ryu's is just a great poke. You can do it over and over and over again. And then Ryu also so one of the things about Ryu that I think is really good is that he's one of those characters that can spend OD bar to convert from his crouch medium kick and not have to do drive rush. Can't react. You can't, you can't react to it, but you can if you see a whiff, crouch medium kick, donkey kick. Sure, you can or back, if you do back roundhouse, sure, very respectable damage off a basic whiff punish.
Yeah.
One of the few characters that can do that, right? Like Juri, she can't really. She can do OD Fuha or something like that, but nothing like Ken. He could do uppercut, I guess, just a raw balls uppercut.
Jinrai,
maybe.
I would go into Jinrai if I'm. I call it blind canceling, but if I'm blind canceling off a low forward, then
right. Chun-Li, she can do legs,
EX legs,
EX legs. If
you want the knockdown,
but EX donkey kick, man, that's the juice. I mean, he can get that from crouch medium kick. That thing is nasty.
Yeah.
So you're running into that. Luke doesn't have, Luke doesn't really have something like that either. So that's one of the things that stacks out immediately is that he does not need to drive rush and lose a bunch of pips to do damage. He can just do it from his donkey. So whiffing against him at all is very and also by the time you're in crouch medium kick range and you're sitting there maybe waiting for it, he's gonna solar plexus punch you.
Yep.
Now he's plus. Now he gets to do whatever he wants. So he has, to me, and aside from all that, he's a great fireball. His fireball is as good as it ever was. And now his OD, if you get OD, so to me, my goal, if I was playing Ryu, would be to land OD, either hurt Tatsu or fireball as quick as I could. And then I'm going to do the Denjin charge. And I'm not going to use the fireball. It's good. It's a good fireball when you're in Denjin. It's a great fireball. But I'm not using that because really the threat is now anytime I land a poke, you're going to hurt so bad and I'm not going to spend any meter to do it.
Yep.
Because that OD thing, that does so much damage. The Hashogeki, with the Denjin. I need that from crouch medium punch. I can get it from crouch medium kick. Do whatever I want. Because then I do drive rush in, fierce, uppercut, or fierce Tatsu, whatever you want. Boy, that does a lot of damage. It's really hard to play against. And so it's like when he has that, and it's like, man, he got level 3 on board. He's going to take all my life if I do a basic mistake. That's hard to deal with. Not only that, this motherfucker's throw Oki out of this world.
he's got a hella loop. Yeah,
he's got
even
the best
in the demo,
loop.
dude.
Yeah, his loop is there for good. It's really good. I mean, even the Oki gets off it, even if it doesn't loop, it's like really good. Like he throws you and he's in there if he does drive rush at all. It drive rush into crouch medium punch. That's the sauce. I mean, that thing is you're +2, and he does enough pushback to where he can wiggle back and forth, and he can actually make the throw whiff. And man, if you whiff a throw, and he happens to do even like stand hard kick, or he does, stand fierce. His stand fierce is so good. Ken has a similar thing. His stand fierce is just about as good, except Ryu again has the higher damage options out of it. So like Ryu doing stand fierce, and like God forbid he gets, and I think you could definitely confirm like if it hits and go into a combo from it, because that thing is beefy. So you're losing drive rush, you're losing drive gauge constantly because you're blocking stand fierce.
Yep.
And it's stand fierce into Hadouken is a really good block string. Stand fierce into one of the larger Harshogekis. My guess is that something you can start doing because people are blocking the stand fierce so much and not even thinking about doing anything afterwards.
Yep.
So to me, his pressure is really good. Fireball's as good as it ever was. His uppercut's still good. He just does so much damage from like the little parts, and he does it without spending much when he gets the Hashogeki Denjin. So to me, if you get that up, yeah, you can throw the fireball. It's pretty good. And if you hit with the fireball, you get another one.
You get another
but
one,
But the real threat is that you have now this easy combo starter that will really, really hurt you. So you need to be very, very careful. And then he can do whatever he wants. If you're not moving, he can move in, and to me, he just seems really good. I know like all the Japanese guys are like, oh, he's going to be so bad at some point. Like, why? What's the logic? I don't get the logic when they say that. Like, they're like, well, somebody's going to figure him out. I'm like, what's there to figure out? Like, obviously, yes, you could parry through the fireballs and stuff. Yeah, that's going to be a challenge, but he's very well equipped after that to do stuff. It's not like he just like, well, he's done that. I can't do anything now. I don't even believe that for like Guile or Ken, who I think it's even worse when you do that. Like, I don't believe that's the end for any of those guys, but let alone Ryu, who can, again, you get into his range, he's got crouch medium kick. The threat of him just doing it into drive rush, or you whiff a move and he crouch medium kicks, whiff punishes you into donkey kick, is going to scare you into doing stuff that you don't want to do.
Sure.
It's going to.
I do think that like Ryu's got this pattern that, I mean, you and I started playing fighting games at around the same time, around 4, right? And I remember Vanilla Ryu and how ridiculous that character was, right?
Yep, a terror
for Street Fighter 4. And then I remember Season 1 Ryu for Street Fighter 5 and how ridiculous that character was.
Yep, it was really good.
I do think that having been around for the life cycles of those two games does demonstrate that Ryu does have like a complexity creep problem where
also, I mean, in 4's case, if you nerf the fuck out of him, yeah.
Yeah, too. That too. But like with 5 in particular, like they just kept adding more characters that all of them had anti-fireball options. All of them were balanced around Ryu to fuck Ryu up. There were a couple that lost to him, but
I would say too, in Street Fighter 5, his combos were whack. I mean, I don't think Tatsu hit crouching until Season 4 or something. Like he couldn't, if you were crouching, couldn't do nothing.
Yeah.
He didn't have any, like he didn't have combos. Like he couldn't make you hurt. So to me, now in this game, when you can get around the fire, not that there's a ton of like anti-fireball like moves that you can just do. There's not as many. But also even then, his normals are good again. And one of the things about Ryu that's been a problem in 5 for sure was his normals sucked.
Yeah.
You weren't scaring anybody with his more normal moves. They just weren't frightening. Now, like stand medium kick's good, standing light kick's good, crouch medium kick's good, standing fierce is awesome, solar plexus is awesome. His overhead now combos on counter hit, or if you do it late in Oki, or if you do it after drive rush, he can get damage now, so that's not a problem when the fireballs fail. So to me, it's like, yeah, I agree. There's going to be more characters that get around fireballs, and his game plan is super basic. But you know what? Sometimes basic is really, really good.
It is a little bit more reminiscent of Street Fighter 4 Ryu than Street Fighter 5 Ryu.
Just doesn't have as good a crouch medium punch.
Street Fighter 4 Ryu?
Street Fighter 4 Ryu crouch medium punch where it's like +3 on block and plus
it comboed into everything.
Sweep on hit. Like
that
move was insane.
Yep.
Just insanity, yeah.
And then he had
Fireball,
he had the coveted DP into Ultra, Fireball into Ultra, damage, right? Which
trade Ultra
gave him the damage that we are seeing in 6 here.
Ultra 1, Tatsu, hard kick right into your face. Oh yeah. I remember all this. Yeah.
Yep. He's got that in this game. He's got SA2 hard kick Tatsu into a burnout string or something.
He's also, so another thing that he can do is, and he's one of the characters that can do it, and I think this is actually a really good thing to have. He can do short jab, OD move, super. So he can do short jab, OD Hadouken, super. the Super 2, Super 1.
You can do
whichever one
Super
you want.
1?
Yes, that's a link. Yeah.
Oh man,
So
that's
short jab, OD Hadouken, watch it hit, confirm into super. You can do that.
well, Chun can do that too, actually. So
Yeah.
okay.
But they think they're very good. So yes, it proves my point.
Yeah.
But like
yeah, that makes sense.
Luke can do that. I think that's a very good thing for him. Like someone like Juri just has a hard time doing something like that. She has moves that she can do. They're not as good. Kim, I think she can go into OD Tatsu or something, but like she doesn't have a lot of options there either.
Sure.
So I think that's a very good thing to have. And the fact that Ryu can do his and like visually watch it hit. It's same with Chun-Li, and then go, okay, now I'm gonna do it. Yeah. That is very good to me. Like that is like, wow, you can do that and it hits and you get a full combo and it's a little damage, but it's enough to get him a Denjin. And once he's got Denjin, like I said, he's in control.
Yeah, and I want to be clear here, just to highlight for our viewers, that we're talking about low forward into EX donkey kick, and that is not a hit confirm. That is not a one hit confirm. But what you can do is you can use your opponent's whiff animation as like the first part of the hit confirm, so to speak.
Basically, yeah.
Right.
Like if someone's overextending, like if they do, let's say they're playing Ken and they're trying to do run up, they're doing the run up kick, they're something like that. You see them walk for it and you're like, okay, I got you. And then you do it. A lot of times, yeah, you can't hit confirm these things just on hit like you could in Street Fighter 5 for a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But though there's cues you see where it's like, okay, or another big one is someone will do a jump in, try to bait a throw by walking back. And you know what? I'm just going to crouch medium kick.
Yep.
Drive rush or something because I know it's going to hit.
Yep.
I know it is. You're walking back. Yeah. So those are those situations. Now, like I said, it's unsafe on block. It's not like it's this thing that you can hit confirm, but most characters can't do a big balls OD move that does damage from their crouch medium kick in this beta, at least.
With the whole low forward thing, right? You're reacting to them standing and confirming with air quotes off that.
Yes. Yeah.
Fudo does this thing in 5, and I'm pretty sure he's going to do it in 6, where he will hold down forward and purposefully get hit in a crouching stance to see if they can actually confirm their low forwards.
It's pretty smart.
Yeah. That's what made me think of. I'm like, okay, so how would I counterplay Tanner trying to do that? And I'd be like, be
Fudo for thought.
Yeah, exactly.
That's some Fudo for thought. Yeah, I mean, you got to test people. Like, that's a good thing to do. You got to test people, see if they can do this stuff.
Yep.
Because the most dangerous thing in the world is assuming everyone's a big brain genius.
Yep.
It's just not true. It's just not true. But yeah, that's why I think Ryu and Chun generally, to me, stood out the most. I think that at every range, now, Ryu has to get that resource, so that might dock him a little bit, but at every range, they're a threat.
Yeah.
You always have to think about what they can do to you. And like, even when you parry his stuff, it's like I said, it's just another layer of like, he's going to walk up and he gets into a certain range where it's like I said, with Guile, if I'm at a certain range, I don't really have to fear damage. He's just going to poke me. And if I get hit by it, yeah, it's annoying. It hurts a little bit, but I'm not losing like half my life or close to it on one combo. And he's got Oki in my face. It's not the same.
Yeah.
Ken is similar into where like, yeah, you could drive rush cancel. So like you could say like, if you were to argue that Ken is better than Ryu, I would say you could be right. However, I feel that the fact that Ryu can convert from more spots easier, I think is going to put him just a step above, even though I respect Ken's, offense and stuff.
Bullshit.
A lot. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like crazy kicks on block is a way better move than a lot of stuff Ryu has, to be clear. But I also think that he doesn't have as good converts off like jabs and stuff like that. So in some instances, like at long range, I don't think he can do as much, but like at short range, yeah, he could.
I definitely am like in the Ken camp. I have this weird like issue with Ryu where and Guile too, actually, where like it's my natural stance to be like, well, this character, you're overreacting. This character isn't as bad as it looks, and here's how smart I am. I'll tell you why. But I think a lot of it is because my character beats those characters pretty bad, in my opinion. I think Chun beats Guile and Chun beats Ryu, and so like my lens is really skewed where I don't think very highly of Ryu, but I do think highly of Ken because Ken can beat Chun because of Ken's ability to corner carry off of any goddamn thing. And in this game, like if you look at the raw universal mechanics of this game, like, you know, corner is going to be king at pretty much every interval. And so, you know, Ken's weakness of not having a high low, we kind of picked that apart earlier in the show. We were talking about how you need to throw anyway. Like the parry kind of trivializes that. So it's gonna, and he's got a throw loop.
He's got a very good throw loop. Yeah,
he doesn't match the damage that Ryu does, right?
Yeah,
which
that's I think the damage in like most situations, whereas like Ken has to spend OD gauge to do it. Yeah, Ryu gets to a point where he doesn't have to. So to me, that's the notch is not very far. Like I think Ken's really good too. Like so to me, and Ken has different strengths. Like of course, like you said, if he lands like let's say one stand hard kick punish counter, that's a corner. That's corner. He does just run up Tatsu, you know, the run of the Tatsu. Now you're cornered.
Or say you've got Ken cornered and you guess wrong and you go for a throw and he jabs you out of it. You're cornered now.
Yeah, because he can do the he does the target
side switch.
The side switch. Yeah. So yeah, I think Ken is great too. Like I don't even think like, you know, obviously you could do a tier list or whatever. I mean, it's a little stupid at this point because you don't even have like almost half the cast to play. But
or is it the right time to do the tier list because the game is over, Tanner? Like this version of the game, we're never gonna play it again. We're never gonna talk about it again after launch, right? And
that's a good point, you know.
And most importantly, if we're wrong, nobody can ever prove us wrong.
Prove me wrong. Yeah.
Show me those tournament results.
Yeah.
But no, I get what you're saying. It's like the actual like ecosystem of the game is not completely intact yet, and so there are factors that are completely unknown to us.
We haven't seen what like a real command grab character looks like, you know.
Right.
We don't really have that. We don't really have that option. We haven't seen what like a charged defensive powerhouse like Blanca or Honda potentially could throw on you, right? So again, this is all very early, so it's not like I'm putting a bunch of stakes in it. But if I had to say it, I would say Ryu and Chun-Li feel the most complete out of all those characters. Like I feel like no matter what, they're a threat.
Okay.
And even if you're not very good, the skills that they have to put you in a certain mind space just make it much harder to play against.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, when I talk to people about their top characters, right? Guile is always the one that comes up the most, but then every now and then you're going to get that person that says, well, actually Jury. And
I have heard that. Yeah.
I don't know enough about Jury to opine on her, or rather I didn't before this weekend, and then I got to play a very, very long set with a Jury, and that Jury happened to be the person on the call right now.
It was me,
you learned Jury as well, so I was curious about your experience with that.
So like Jury is another character where it's like there's a range you sit at, you can react to everything. And it can be really frustrating because like my basis is like stand low kick or her stand light kicks max range because it's just this little nit and it's like super negative on block, so it's not like it does big offense or whatever, but it's annoying. And so right where you're there, I could do forward medium punch, I do crouch medium kick, I could jump back, which jump medium punch, maybe go in a dive kick if it hits on the air to air, or I could air throw. I could sweep, and I could do stand hard kick, which is safe. Big pushback, all this stuff. So the only thing you could do is stand hard kick is you could drive or you could DI me, which again, just like with Chun, whatever. I think they're very similar characters. I just think Chun-Li.
Me too.
So, but I think Jury, obviously, the thing that sets her apart, which you know, if I'm looking into how I can play this character, so her mobility is insane. If you play me, I'm never not moving. I'm constantly dash forward, dash back, dash back, dash back. I need to do that because, like I said, once the chaotic pattern is set in, you might feel like you're out of range of something, and then you're not. So a lot of characters, my guess is if you play people who play against Jury, the number one thing they'll say is like, well, fuck, I thought I was out of the range of a crouch medium kick. It hit me anyways. She drive rush canceled and killed me.
Yep.
I'm like, yeah, that's the point of all that maneuvering around. It just feels annoying. Like and she's one of those characters that could rarely do good meterless damage because if she gets two stocks, if you're dashing up, if you're close enough, you do crouch medium kick into fireball, you can cancel into the medium fuha, and that combos. So if you're close enough. So if crouch medium kick, light, medium. So you can see now, you can't really confirm this, so it's kind of a Grinch big ball situation. But if you're good and you kind of know what's happening, you can go crouch medium kick, light fireball, and then you see the crouch medium kick had already hit, and then go right into the fuha, into crouch medium kick, heavy fuha uppercut. You just did a bunch of damage for no meter, and you got another stock up. And so I think that's really good. Her corner carry is really, really good. That OD hard kick, fuha spin kick, that's a very good move. It takes you super far to the corner. I didn't do that enough. If I was playing again, it's probably one of the things I would have focused on more. I actually think her jump ins are actually pretty interesting. So like her jump hard kick is just standard good stuff, but her jump medium hits really deep fast. So
I'm struggling to remember what that looks like actually.
Hits like her fist is down here.
Okay, it points downward. It angles downward then.
Down like fast, like a clock.
Oh,
like
the stomp looking one.
No, that's her jump. Her jump fierce. No,
okay.
She's punching with like she's stabbing with her hand down.
Oh,
but like the tip of her, like when you're at the apex of her jump, it can already hit you.
Okay.
It's not unlike Luke's stand.
Oh, that one. Yeah. Where she like she kind of like arcs her back and stuff, and she's like pointed downward. That one.
Yeah, she's at like 10-2.
Yeah. Okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Sorry, guys, it took me a little while.
Yeah. So that's a really good jump in. It messes with people a lot because she can dive kick.
Yeah.
She can do the jump roundhouse, and she can do that move. So it's kind of hard when you're moving around everywhere to react to every jump in easily. And so I think that's good. Her walk up, with the fireball stuff is also really strong stuff.
Yep.
Not quite as good as like Chun-Li's version of it, but pretty close. And her OD version of that move is really, really good. 2 hits. It goes even farther than the normal low kick was. And you don't actually need a store to do it, which is a really nice. I believe that's different than it was in 5. I think in 5, she even needed a store to do the EX version. So now she doesn't. So that's nice. Because the store, I will say one of her great weaknesses, in my opinion, is that you do need to store that stuff. And the store is terrible.
Really?
On block, it's okay. But the recovery frames are bad.
Okay.
I mean, if you're doing this like at mid-range or something and you're against a good character, they might drive rush and do something to you. This move it's got a lot of recovery. So the fact that she can get that off of like most combos, the low kick one is safe, so she can block string into it. So it's not that big a deal.
Sure.
But I do feel like if she gets a little desperate and starts doing it just in like kind of like, let's say, a neutral situation where you're both here.
Yeah.
Not good. You've probably won because that's desperate. And I think you can get hit by it. But in general, like she's got really long range normals, mostly safe. And then, of course, to me, her bread and butter is that Super 2. That thing's incredible.
Oh, the feng shui engine.
The feng shui engine, yeah, absolutely. Once that hits, it's party time because, like, on hit or block, that's a block string, And then it's like she goes in the overhead, she go to low. Thank God they're like the overhead can't combo. I think that's really smart because it just splats you. Because she can just keep going. If the overhead's blocked, she can just keep going.
Okay.
But on hit, it will splat you. But you can do crouch medium kick, and she can always combo into like crouch fierce, jump cancel, jump medium punch, dive kick. And in the corner, she can do jump medium punch, jump fierce, jump roundhouse, dive kick. So it does a ton of damage all the time. And if you've seen now, some of the players, some of the psychopaths that are playing her, they can do like these super long combos where they go into the stand medium punch and they link out of it, and then they link back into it, and they do it again, and it lasts forever. So it's just a really, and the dash out of it when the activation is like plus on block, so you can always go into it and you can't ever like waste it like you're in somebody's face.
Yep.
It does a ton of damage. It takes you to the corner almost immediately in any combo. It's really good stuff. I think, again, one of the characters who's level 2, obviously you want a level 3 for damage, and you'll probably get it, but level 2 is absolutely worth it to spend.
I think that like one thing that's worth noting about a lot of these kinds of big ass like Guile boom loops or Jury feng shui engine combos is that the scaling kicks in, but because you can have another meter stocked during that, because it's a level 2 and not a level 3, you have a 1 bar there. That combo goes forever, and then you do your level 1, and that's got a minimum scaling on it. So it's not it's unscaled minimum scaling, if that makes sense. Like you attack on a big chunk of damage at the end of it too. So you'll see a lot of people, maybe not for the feng shui or the guile loops, but like you'll see a lot of people that will do a long ass drive combo, like burn all their drive meter doing this big combo specifically to build a meter for that level 3 or that level 1 to get the minimum scaling.
And the level 3 does a ton of damage. almost always. I think its minimum is 50% or something like
50,
that. It's really high. So you'll see a lot of characters, like if you're at like, let's say 3/4 health and they land that drive rush, they'll just burn it all.
Yep.
Why not? Because they'll get to level 3, they'll end the match, and it's worth it. Like you'll get the meter back anyway. So what does it matter?
Yep. It's 50, 30, 10, I believe. 50 for level 3, 30 for level 2, and then 10 for level 1.
Yeah.
But, at that point, when your combo's so long, you're down at like 5% scaling anyway. So the 10% looks like
is actually
solid
better.
gold,
Yeah. So, yeah, I think Jury, a jack of all trades character, is similar to other characters, but I do think her uniqueness is how mobile she is and how that can mess with. Also, I don't know if it's true. Like, I haven't looked at like the frames or anything, but like her drive rush feels better than other characters.
Oh, it is. Absolutely, it is. Yeah, okay. I've got a chart. It's she does the Naruto run. It's the best drive rush in the data.
Yeah, it's super good.
It is so good. I wanted to ask too. You mentioned mobility a couple times. Would you consider that the centerpiece of your Jury play in the same vein that? Okay, got it. Yeah. So
because to me, it's like you could be lame and be stationary and like do the Chun thing, but to me, she doesn't do it as good as Chun does. She has a regular DP, so it's not as easy to react with this Chun-Li's. Her stand roundhouse is good. Reward on it is not quite as good as Stand Fierce is, because I think on punish counter, she can technically land her uppercut, but you've got to be at the right range, else was a whiff. So her reward isn't as good for standing there. Yeah. And she's a little bit slower in general than Chun-Li. So, and the other thing is too, her stuff off her jabs isn't as good. It's okay. It's not like you can do a very easy 3-hit confirm. You might have seen me do it a few times. Jab, stand short, uppercut.
Yep.
That works pretty much consistently on everybody. That's good. But like going into like drive rush combo and doing like a lot of damage from it, it's a little bit harder.
Can you do jab, DRC, jab, fierce?
You could do jab, DRC, jab, crouch fierce, I believe. I believe
fierce
that works.
Into heavy store probably. Okay.
Most characters have that. Or if you have medium, you could do jab, fierce, medium, fuha, crouch, medium kick, uppercut. You can. So that she has combos. Like I said, she can do a bootleg Chun. I just don't think it's as good. I don't think she has quite the moves to make it as threatening. But she is super mobile and can make it confusing as to where that range starts and ends.
That's a really interesting opinion. I've actually heard the opposite from some people, in that Chun feels like a budget Jury. So
ridiculous. Ridiculous.
I mean, that's good for me. That's good for me if you feel that that Chun is a better version of Jury. I definitely feel the same way. That those two characters are very similar.
They're definitely similar. But like I said, I just don't like I said, Jury can't play the same game. Now she has differences to her game, but I do think like if you don't have a fireball that clashes, and you're up against a character with a good fireball, that low kick fuha doesn't feel quite as good.
Okay.
As a Kikosho, because it's not clashing. So it's like a lot of times you'll load out and you may trade with a Ken or whatever, but at the range you're at, it's like I've kind of lost this fight because my low punch fireball hit first and their fireball hit last, so I didn't really get any advantage from it.
Right,
it just feels like shit, right? So to me, it's good, but it's not quite as good as Chun-Li's. Okay. Not quite as good, but she can still do the same game. The walk up. And that she can do it without charging, so she has like 3 charges up and she's kind of walking back and forth. Her just doing low punch fireball, they're going to hit somebody all the time.
Sure.
They'll just walk into it on accident. And then then it matters because her drive rush is so fast. A lot of times, my guess is when you're like really good, you can throw that out and then kind of DR behind it. And if you see it hit, just jab into crouch fierce, store, blah, blah, blah. Like my guess is people will be good enough to do that. And it would just nobody's there yet. But that to me is like her big strength, is like she can definitely play hazard where you don't know, you're kind of playing around where you think she is, and then she's not there. And then it hurts. And she, like every character, she can do a lot of damage off of basic stuff. So she can make you pay for doing that. Which I think before, like in 5, I think now she's considered very good after
it took a little while.
Steroided out the ass. Yeah, like every patch she gets a bunch of buffs.
Yep.
But like I think one thing with her was that she, without store, she couldn't really damage you that bad.
Correct.
It just didn't hurt. And so now she can. And she has better normals than she did in 5. Yep. She's got generally better speed. Her walk speed is actually quite good. Which is funny because in 4 she was super slow. That was a complaint everybody had. And then in 5 is a little bit better. And now in 6, she just walks fast, I would argue.
What do you think about the throw loop too? Because Juri does have one and Chun-Li does not. And
true.
I frequently see a weakness of Chun cited as the throw loop being the thing. Her main weakness, right? So
Chun-Li, I would say Juri's corner pressure is better because the reality is not only do you have the throw loop, but at a certain range, you poke them out, whatever, and then you do like maybe like a button you have that's longer than theirs, like stand fierce.
Yeah.
Into like the low kick fireball. And the fireball doesn't hit immediately. It's got to travel a little bit. And that little bit is enough to just basically walk up and do stand medium punch again to get +2 or whatever. So she can feel super oppressive in the corner. I don't disagree with that at all. I think her corner pressure is really, really good. She can get it fairly easily with the OD Fuha, hard kick Fuha. So I think that is very threatening. I think, and you see, I got it a lot. You just kind of walk back and forth and walk up throw because her walk speed's pretty fast.
Yep.
And she gets a throw loop off of it. So it's like, that's pretty scary. Now, the only thing is I would say she needs a stores without spending drive gauge to make that really scary. So she can do like the medium kick, Fuha into crouch medium punch, and then drive cancel that into fucking crouching fear, stand medium punch, crouch medium punch, do it again. Like that's really, man, that feels bad. Like that feels terrible. So yeah, I agree. Her corner pressure is better. I just don't think mid range she's quite as scary as Chun-Li because Chun-Li is scary everywhere.
Sure.
That's what I meant. Sure. All I mean about Chun-Li and Ryu being the best for me, what that means to me is that at every range they're scary.
Right.
Some characters I can be at a certain range. I'm not really pressed by what they're doing.
And the way the game might evolve is like early on, jack of all trades usually succeeds, but eventually, aspects of the game get highlighted as the strong parts, and the characters that excel at those things end up being like superseding the jack of all trades characters.
Absolutely. Like we might find a character, character might drop with a command grab, and we realize, oh shit, you need one of those.
Yeah.
It could happen. It could happen.
Yeah. That's an idea for a secondary of mine.
Yeah. We see these characters that drop that do like the whole drive gauge on block. You take one whole pip from it.
Yeah.
Blanca and Honda.
There's no way, man.
That might be a whole thing. It could be.
That's got to be a testing thing. There's no way that should.
No, it's gonna do it. It's gonna do it on launch. Of course it is.
Okay.
It makes sense. I get it. Like you want those moves to feel good. Just do them over and over again. So
because a parry is a legitimate answer to them otherwise, right?
Absolutely.
So I wanted to ask you, like, to take the throw loop question for Juri and expand it for the entirety of the game, because that is an ongoing debate amongst the community, right? And we've talked a little bit about it, but I more importantly, now that we've played matches together, and I've seen your use of parry and whatnot, has your opinion on throw loops evolved or anything, or like how do you feel about them being in the game?
Well, I would say they're super annoying, but I kind of signed up for that. And my answer is pretty much the same as it was. Don't get cornered. Simple as that. Positioning is king again. Sorry. Throw loops, it's the problem is the relative ease of doing them. My guess is what makes everybody mad, because it's frustrating that all they gotta do is dash up, and that's a huge mix up, right?
Yep.
That feels terrible. But how did you get there? And of course, now with like Ken, it's like, well, I did one thing wrong and I got cornered. Yeah, that sucks. I mean, that's why he's good, right?
Yep.
But that's also, like I said, positioning's king. I'm always looking for a perfect parry to back throw you in the corner. I do it constantly. I do it all the time. It's my favorite thing in the world, actually, to do. You'd see it if you watch some of the match clips I posted. There's a lot of like, oh, I perfect parry a cross up, or I perfect parry on wake up, and I would just back throw you in the corner.
Yep.
Because I know you don't want to be there. You're gonna squirm like hell to get out, and between that, I'm gonna get an opening, and I'm gonna kill you for it. So, like I said, positioning is king. It's a big part of the game. You don't want to be there, then don't be there.
Did I
figure it out?
Did I ever tell you that Chun-Li actually does have a throw loop? It's a back throw. The back throw is
I figured as much. I could see, because she doesn't. If she doesn't kick you as far, my guess is she just gets a throw loop.
Yeah, well, just like in general, like if you do your anti-air parry stuff and then you back throw them and just a side switch, that's a meaty throw.
Oh, really? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
There you go.
You can't. The problem is though, you can't loop it, because then you have to back throw them again, and then if it's not a punish counter, they're going to tech backwards. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's one thing that now playing more, I still feel more of like that. What a great change it was, where the back tech is the same frames as the regular tech. It's just you move backwards. That's so much better than the fucking bullshit Street Fighter V one.
I I am not sold on that yet because that's why we have throw loops now. like throw loops are like.
Well, yeah, but I don't care about throw loops.
Yeah, that's true. That's
yeah.
true.
So if I, so that's just a byproduct of like, well, yeah, that's how it should be.
It definitely it aligns with your idea of positioning being king and the corner being terrible to be in this game.
I mean, if you ask like those old school Street Fighter 2 players where they're like, "Don't you? Why is Ochio throw loop? Isn't that bad?" And they'd be like, "Well, don't get fucking cornered. It's not my problem." I just don't think it's that. Like, I've never been sold on like the idea of like the only problem I had with it in Street Fighter 5 was your defensive options were terrible.
That's true.
To defeat the strike, you would still have to OD uppercut giant Grinch balls do it. Like you had to do that every time. That feels terrible. Like the risk reward is so skewed in that situation.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to go for the perfect meaty timing and I happen to wake up perfect parry or even regular parry, I would get the advantage back. And that feels way better. Then you have to throw because you can't beat the parry without throwing. So I feel better about that than I have zero options but to reversal uppercut and hope that it hit. And if it didn't hit, I'm gonna die.
Sure.
Because if you throw punish me, that's bad. It hurts, but I'm not dead. I get another chance to live.
Yeah. That's kind of how I feel about getting hit by Kim sweep.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. You kick out. It's fine.
Okay.
And I mean, there's some matches. I think I had a match with Thrasher where he literally punish counter through me, I think 3 times in a parry, and my 4th parry worked. And I was like, look, it all worked out. It was all for, and because it was, I think I blocked a DI. I got 2 pips back. So it was like, all that I lost on punish counter, it's all good. It came back. Like it's fine. I just lost a bunch of health. I get that health back. It's fine. But yeah, that's I think, Street Fighter is, a game of positioning. It always has been. Even when it doesn't feel like it is. And being in the corner is bad and it should feel bad. So don't be in it. That's kind of my opinion.
I'm still processing. I'll get that health back. I'll get the health back next round.
I'll get it back next round. Yeah, that's fine.
I could see someone. Yeah, I could. Oh, actually, that's something I want to talk to you about too. So there's a lot of discourse around burnout. Not discourse. That's the wrong way to describe it. But like, there's a lot of differing philosophies around burnout, and whether it's better to burn out fast or to like manage it more and return to neutral more. Whether it should be in like it's okay to burn out in round 1 versus round 2 or burn out in round okay, this is what I want to run by you. So Long Island Joe presented this idea.
Burn out in round 1, you'll get it back in round 2, so it doesn't really.
Right. So what I'm saying is that there is a school of thought out there that if you were gonna play like hardcore fast and burn out quickly, do it in round 1, and because they have no super to make it hurt yet. And I was curious about like what your thoughts on that would be, or if you would prefer at round 1 start, prefer not to burn out.
So the way I see the burnout cycle going,
yeah,
and I feel I've seen it watching it happen in real time. So if it starts up at the top, you see the burnout, the penalties for it, and you're like, it's so over. And then you find out, well, you know what, you can actually still do your regular moves. We're so back. It's fine. Eventually, we're going to get to the point, it's so fucking over. We're going to go back because the problem is you haven't played against someone that will make it hurt to be in burnout, even if they don't have super. Because for fuck's sake, I don't want to be against Chun-Li when she has burn in burnout. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare.
It's not that bad, man. She's
bad.
Fine. She's fine. She doesn't need nerfs.
Just looping pressure over and over and over again. It's playing Street Fighter 5. I don't play Street Fighter 5. So I think the problem is, like you haven't, no one's really that good at the game yet. So it's not like anyone's really figured out, okay, when someone's in burnout, this is the optimal way I'm going to learn how to pressure them. My guess is if you're like playing against like Ken, and Ken does like that hard kick dragon slash, and he's like +5 or whatever. Yeah. He's just doing stand medium punch, like walk up, stand medium punch, walk up, stand medium punch, walk up, stand medium. You're going to be like, I want to get off this ride as soon as possible. I don't ever want to be in this again. It's going to feel terrible. And I think the only reason it hasn't is because, like I said, people aren't good enough there's no real opportunity, unless you're a cheater, to lab out like the situation where it's like someone's burned out. Now I'm going to practice how I pressure them.
Yeah.
Once they do, it's so over. Like we're fucking back to that. Like You don't want to be in burnout. Now, I get why, you feel like you could take the risk. I do it all the time. It's a risk assessment. So I think that's a valid line of thought. I just think like, okay, but to be clear, you still have to be right to get that. If you get back thrown into the corner and you're burned out now, you're gonna hate your life. Trust me. It's not gonna be good. It's not gonna be good. You have no counter to DI. That's what feels the worst. Because if you're taking Long Island Joe's point, you don't have super to make it hurt. You don't have super to reversal through any of this stuff.
I mean, you will build up a level 1 super at least over the course of round 1, right? But
I think if you have to burn your level 1 super just to get me off you in round 1, like quick, it's so fucking over. Like we've already lost. You're not gonna get that level 3 very fast in round 2. Okay. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna hurt you.
Let's expand on that then. So, would you burn level 1 offensively ever in round 1?
My opinion is very similar to Daigo's, where it's like, yeah, if it'll get you the round, just do it. Like, who cares? Like, if it's gonna get me to like 0 and 3/4 bar, I'll live with that. If it's gonna take me exactly to 0, I may hesitate because, like I said, I don't want to spend the next round having to wait for a level 3. But if I'm pretty close to like 1.5, 1 3/4 bar, I'll do it because I know I'll probably get it back. I'll probably get to level 3 by the end of the next round, and I could end that. I could end that round if I get that. So I think that's fine.
What if another scenario is you can tack a level 1 on, and it'll put them in throw range to kill? Would you burn it in round 1?
Yeah, probably.
You would. That. Okay.
I just think it's better offensively because it could end the round, whereas defensively, it's just going to get you off me for 2.5 seconds.
Sure. And by then, at that point, you've already if you're getting them down to throw kill range, you probably have another one in the tank anyway.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So then,
me defensively, it's worse to spend it because if you're in burnout, my guess is you're not doing a lot of stuff to build up super other than getting your ass kicked.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, great, I built up super, but I lost the round, so that wasn't worth it.
That's another thing, man, is that like a lot of these scenarios I'm about to throw at you, like they are all based on like my general understanding of the meter economy and how, like, at round 1 you could potentially build two bars, and then at round 2 you get capped at 3, but you could burn it, and then how much do you burn and all this other shit, right? But when I fought against you and you parried everything that I did, you created inflation in the meter economy. That you flooded the game with you flooded the game with super meter, and suddenly you had SA2 in a much quicker fashion, which, as we mentioned earlier, changed the matchup, the neutral entirely. But I want to put that disclaimer out there.
Does parry get you super? I don't actually.
It does.
Okay, well, great.
It gives super meter to the guy who threw the fireball, and it gives super meter to the person who absorbed the fireball. A little bit less.
There we go. Okay, so yeah, that's what I mean. So like, that goes back to my theory about Guile, where it's like, well, you can't get super. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. And even if I didn't, I have OD gauge and stuff. I can still do shit to you. Like, I don't need it. I start the round with it. I don't need to build it. So I don't know like why this is like the most threatening thing in the world. It's good. I'm not saying it's bad, but like super top tier, he's going to end the game. Like Mago being like, we must consider the nuclear option against Guile. Like, I don't get any of that talk because, like I said, I think because Mago's also a big believer in parry. Like, he's literally saying stuff I told you like 2 months ago.
Yes.
Like, he's saying the exact same thing. I'm like, yes, 2D God, Mago. I will send to godhood. But it's, and also you're going to get to a spot, like I said, where sometimes like when you bet the farm on DI, someone's going to perfect parry, DI you back, and the DI you get, you're going to lose 3.5 just for doing a bad DI.
Yeah, let's explain that one pretty in depth here, because that is like one of your biggest findings. That's don't you have credit for that on Twitter, if I recall correctly.
I do. I'll take credit for it. So yeah, that's one of those. So basically what it is like when you DI someone, most people will DI back. That's like the most common because you get big damage. If it's a punish counter, they crumple. You can get damage from it because it doesn't scale that bad. So it's good. And usually if you're doing like jab, 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 you can jab twice, still see it coming, and DI. Because you cancel the jab like it was a normal.
Yep.
It's good stuff. I think it's very good. What's even better is you can jab, see it's coming, and instead of clicking one button, you click another button, which is parry, and you'll perfect parry. Now, if you're good, you'll perfect parry. I think people practice. They have it in training mode. You can set this up to practice it. You'll do it. Like you can learn how to do it.
When I want to learn how to do it.
So when it hits you, when you perfect parry, you get the things you got back you get for normally parrying a DI. Now, anytime you parry a DI, you get 2 pips back, no matter what. So you beat them in the meter economy. Always, because they had to spend 1 to do that. You get 2 back.
Yep.
That's awesome. But when you perfect parry, they're in super recovery mode because you recover instantly. So what I found out is if you immediately tap drive impact back, they are still in punish counter territory. So when you DI back, you get that punish counter. And one of the nice things about punish counter DI is you take 1.5 pips of drive gauge.
Yep.
So you just got 2, and now you spent 1. Now they've already lost 2.5. And you're thinking, this is pretty great. I'm going to do my combo. But I perfect parried, so it's going to be pretty scaled. And I DI'd too, so scale is even worse. So I can't do a lot of damage. Okay, well, here's what I'll do. Do your characters crouch fierce, whatever their heaviest button is that's cancelable. Do it into DI, because it's going to combo on hit. Most of them do. And what will happen then is you still get, anytime you hit with DI, even if it's just a regular hit, you still take 1 more pip from your opponent. So you've spent both of your pips that you just got for getting that DI, but you've taken now 3.5 from your opponent. So no matter what, even if you were down to 1 pip left, you still, this is totally meter friendly. It evens out. And you still have 1 more if you want to drive rush up, you want to start pressuring them or something like that. You can always do it. So to me, that's because if they panic and they want to get like a crouch medium kick drive rush, now they're going to burn out because it takes 3 and they've lost 3.5.
Yeah.
So unless they were,
there's a reason why that in the UI the bar goes from green to red at 3. In my opinion, it's to tell you, hey, slow the fuck down.
Yeah, careful. Yeah,
yeah.
And for a lot of characters, crouch medium kick into drive rush is their party starter, right?
Yeah,
like that's what they do everything. And people just do it on instinct, right? Because it's like, well, I can't. It's good on hit. It's okay on block. Like this, I'm not gonna really get hit for it. But what if you did that on block and you burned out, and you're very early in the round, and I've got plenty of bar, and it's just like, oh man, stop playing Goodbye Horses. It's Buffalo Bill time, brother. Like we're eating.
I'm even thinking about it from a comeback mechanic standpoint now, because while you were describing it, there was an inflection point that I realized that you could do the perfect parry. So they DI, you perfect parry the DI, and then you DI back. You suggested just now, it's after the perfect parry, crouch fierce into DI, right?
Yeah,
and that'll take
which actually takes a little bit more because you crouch fierce them. Yes.
Yeah, especially if you're Chun.
Absolutely, 2 hits.
Yeah, but say I'm behind. Say my ass is in the corner. You went for a DI to get me, and I had 1 bar. You had 3, so you went for it. It made sense, right? I perfect parry it, and instead of saying I want to take 3.5 from you, I'll take 2.5, and instead I will do a launcher with Chun or any kind of actual legit combo. So no matter what, I'm getting the punish counter parry. So I'm going to do a parry into a punish counter DI.
Yeah.
And then I do a launcher. None of that creates a drive recovery penalty on my end. So I can choose to say, I'm going to forego the damage to your bar to make up for the deficit that I have. And the launcher combo that I would do would build up drive slowly. Each hit would just give you a chunk, right? Yeah. And I obviously like it'll be character dependent, but most characters I think have a big ass drive recovery combo.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because when you're punish counter and you're crumpled, you can do whatever you want. Like if it's like, well, I only get a launcher off this really slow move. Well, you're probably gonna hit it because they're down. So like let's say you're Manon or whatever. Like I'm just speculating because I don't know, but let's say you're Manon and you do the drive impact and you do it. You probably can land that fierce like uppercut thing into like the big ballerina twirl.
Yeah.
My guess is that busts you back out to mid screen and you're good.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, you can do whatever you want. I pointed out in my Twitter thread about it. Like you back throw into the corner. It's another good one. You took 2.5 and then you just switch spots.
Yep.
So now you're in the driver's seat. It's a total reversal of momentum, and it's from perfect parry, which again is one button as well.
Yep.
Now its timing is harder. It's going to be harder. It has to be. But man, that's a huge loss for doing one bad DI, I think.
I think the reason why that technique is slept on right now, because even in the replies on that thread on Twitter, which I'll link in the description of this video too, is that like, you know, that's cool, but you know, counter DI is still king, because right now at least we value life over drive, and that's because we don't fear burnout as a community yet, as a community meta, I think.
Yeah.
But like I could, even then you could still see like a hyper specific use case of being like, hey, I need a counter DI, but I can't survive it, or I don't have the health for it, or alternatively I don't have the drive for it and I'll burn out if I do. And right now I just take the burnout and I go for the counter DI anyway because her damage, right? But I think your way is probably going to be the future.
Well, think about it this way too, John. Okay, here's a scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you're unlike me. You're human. You're imperfect, right? So you're not going to hit that perfect parry every time.
Right.
But if you miss and you get a regular parry, guess what? Still getting the 2 pips back. You're still getting the 2 pips back no matter what.
Nice.
You're going to be -3. They're going to be -3 in your face. So you can at least force a throw. They can't jab out of the throw. They got to do something else. You got to throw tech and do something. So that's something. If you DI and they happen to jab, and they read your DI, uh-oh. Or you didn't DI fast enough, uh-oh.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
Versus
or like
parry.
you said, you're out of life, uh-oh.
Yeah. Yeah, and just in general, that like DI is a haymaker, right? So like when you choose to execute that option, like you got to be extra sure, and that timing to like determine if you're extra sure, that extra mental load compared to just being like, "Hup, parry, it's going to cover every option at this range." That I think is going to be key for like getting out of the corner, fighting out of the corner.
Yeah, or you're going to see here's a common scenario. I'll tell you, happen all the time. You're going to hit a move that is technically cancelable into DI, but you're going to hit it in its later active frames where it's not cancelable anymore. And you'll tap the button and be like, aha, victory. And then your DI doesn't come out and you're like, wait, what happened? And then you just get hit because you were expecting the DI to come out and you got hit, or you blocked it instead and you went into the wall and you died. So here's a better solution. If you're throwing out big buttons or whatever and you think you can cancel, hey, you know what? Parry also starts up in 1 frame. You can get it. Trust me. It may look like it's late, but you will get it. And you keep that. It's an insurance policy. You're not going to hit the wall. So even if you block it, in this case, which was the parry, you're not going to hit the wall. You're going to have advantage. You're going to get pips back enough to at least do an OD move. Right. So I'll take that over, hey, sometimes I hit DI. Now it's not like I'm not perfect. I don't do it every single time. Right. But I still do counter DI a lot, but that's because sometimes it might end the round if I just do the damage, because perfect parry is going to scale a combo. So I'm not saying there's one is automatically superior in every situation over the other, but I think in most situations, the parry is safer. The reward is higher if you're awesome. And, you know, like you said, if you mess up, you're still okay. You're still okay. You know, you don't have to take it on block. You can just parry it and then you'll be all right.
Yeah, it's -3 if I recall correctly.
Yep, you're -3 and with a little bit of pushback, but -3 is enough to where I could throw, I could jab, and you can't do it back unless you have an OD reversal in my face, which again, if that happens, then my God, you know, I just have to. That's the way the wind blows on that one.
I heard rumblings of parry DP being a meta amongst certain groups of people. Like I parry something and then after I parry something, I immediately DP because people are like, you know, continuing to press and going in for that throw, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you could do it, you know, because parry is technically a block because the frames on block are the same. Would I do it all the time? Probably not. You know?
Yeah. I played against an opponent that they DP'd on wake up twice. And I blocked both DPs. I dropped the combo on the second DP because I was bewildered.
Cool.
Yeah, but like I do not I do not think double DP is going to be the future of this game because of the sheer cost. Like even Street Fighter 5 didn't have that big of a cost on a DP. Like it had one bar and that was expensive, especially because you didn't start with full bar.
Yeah. But if you had V trigger, like that was the better super bar sometimes anyways, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
But I'm just thinking in general, I'm like, I could get away with it in 5, but not in 6. I don't think the double.
Well, yeah, let's think about this. Let's think about this. If you're right, you're good, but you lost 2. If you're wrong, not only do you lose 2, the punish counter is going to take a little bit more. Yeah. God forbid they do a drive impact after that. Now you're going to lose 3.5, maybe 4.
Yeah.
Not good. Believe me, not good. That's it's really, and like you said, you're getting ever closer to burnout, which you desperately want to avoid.
Yep.
So I think, yeah, there's going to be definitely a lot of risk in doing upper. You still have to do it. Trust me. I feel like sometimes I'm preternaturally good at the read on the EXDP. I do it all the time.
Sure.
You have to. But don't discount parry. So the thing about Street Fighter 6 that I really like is so I'm learning on a new controller. I have and I don't know if they're going to have video with this, but I have the Hori gamepad.
Ooh.
Right here, right? So it's got the 6 buttons and they're clicky.
Yep.
And then they've got the triggers on top. So what I've done is I basically set it up to like I'm playing Mortal Kombat. So I've got my face buttons, my attack buttons here. I've got left trigger it's block for me in Mortal Kombat. Or this would be right trigger. Right trigger to me is block. It's parry. Parry is my right trigger. My left bumper, which in MK would normally be throw.
Yeah.
Now it's drive impact. So I drive impact with this.
Wow. Okay.
And then right bumper, which is normally my interactable in MK11 / meter burn. So in MK11, if you don't know, a lot of characters, what they do is you got to throw a special move out first, tap RB as it's coming out, and that does the meter burn version.
Right.
Or you throw out a fireball, and then you can delay and then tap RB and do the meter burn version. Right. So in Street Fighter 6, if you look at the controls, they've got this great new function called simultaneous input assistance. Now, a lot of people might see that and think it's just a weird accessibility thing.
Yep.
And it kind of is, but here's what it does for you. If I hold this and I'm playing Shun and I do, let's say, crouch medium kick like this, and I want to get that buffer into Lightning Legs EX.
Right.
Normally, I would have to do that and then see it hit and then confirm with 2 buttons like this, or maybe, roundhouse.
Yeah, you'd have to like claw it with your
you gotta claw
right hand, right?
Not the most comfortable thing in the world.
Yeah.
And it can feel awkward to double press buttons, right? So if I'm holding input assistance and I do crouch medium kick, the forward into the kick will automatically get me all 3 kicks. So I get the lightning legs just by pressing another button. The OD lightning legs.
Okay.
So it gets all 3 kicks. Now, there are some drawbacks to this. If I'm playing Juri and she has button combinations that do different OD Fuha moves, that input assistance will only get me the hard kick Fuha.
You're talking about like light punch, medium punch, light punch, heavy punch, and medium punch, heavy punch?
Exactly.
Okay.
So if you ever use button lines on a gamepad in Street Fighter 5 where these 2 triggers were punch, 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 and kick, you had the same problem. So that's still a thing. So be forewarned that is not going to save you from that. But if you hold that, you don't actually do it. The other thing, the nice thing about it, unlike the binds, you don't have to punch to get that out. So when you press this does nothing. If I was to press it in game, if you look at the input counter, you'd see PPPP, but you wouldn't see a fierce punch come out, or you wouldn't see a roundhouse kick come out, because I have to press the button for it to actually depress the PPP. So that means I can hold this and still tap parry and still do a motion for an uppercut. And I don't have to like.
Oh, wow. So you can basically hold it and buffer an uppercut and then hit a different button if you want to like throw a fireball or something. Or I don't know. I'm just thinking just in general.
Just let go.
You got a lot of options, basically.
Yeah. So what I'm doing, a lot of times what you'll see is I'm holding block and this at the same time.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting like this, and then I uppercut, and I don't have to make sure my thumb hit both buttons or anything like that. I can just do a very quick uppercut out of pressure.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't have to hit both buttons I just have to hit one.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I'm a dirty hitbox user, and like
You are, yes.
I
Absolutely.
don't think I can do stuff like that. As far as like, because I'm just thinking about my parry button is very much a like I have to surrender my punches because my pinky's reaching over to do it, and I can't like physically reach the other buttons. But for you,
so what if I'm holding this right here?
Yeah.
And I'm holding parry, or I'm tapping it, and I'm holding down back. So right here, my fingers are all equipped, and if I see something, I just down, and I get EX uppercut.
Yeah.
I don't have to press both buttons.
Because you're using your left hand basically to offload that mental load with the parry, and
my right index finger is basically doing the double press of buttons.
Yeah.
So I don't have to like, I have to hit both kicks. And if you're on a gamepad that doesn't have the RB and RT, this is even better. Because it's super awkward sometimes to make sure that your thumbs both hit like both kicks.
Yeah.
It's A and B. It can be a little awkward sometimes. Now you can just hit, B, or just A. And you don't have to think about like I got to press both buttons and make sure I hit them both at the same time.
Yeah.
My thumb didn't slip and all this other stuff. So I use simultaneous input as just like an MK, where if it's only going to come out when I want, that's exactly how I do it. So to me, it's like I'm playing Mortal Kombat because the buttons are the same. Throw is the only thing that's not the same. I tried experimenting with throw, but it felt too weird. I never teched it reactively with my left index finger. I'm sure I could train myself to do that. I'm not going to. Also, because throw in MK only techs one way. So so believe it or not, the neutral throw in Mortal Kombat is a back throw. So
really? I didn't know that.
if you didn't press any direction, you would automatically back throw somebody. So so you can tech with 1 and 3. That's MK lingo, and that techs back, and then 2 and 4 tech forward throws. So no matter what, so you can only tech. It's a 50-50. It's a 50-50 throw. So you can only tech one way, and you just have to be right. So it's like Street Fighter's not like that. Of course, you can just hit jab and short, and it works consistently. Little butthole.
Sorry. When we say little butthole, my cat just showed up and showed her butthole in the camera, and
certainly did. Certainly did. It got a little triple X there. But let's talk about triple P, because that's basically what I'm doing. So I get to do that whenever I want, and I don't have to feel like, my moves didn't come out. And it takes a lot of the stress off, like you said. When I'm in pressure and stuff, and I just have to do a basic DP motion and a button, I don't feel like I'm having to search for an OD move to come out. Even though it's like, if you're on a stick, this might sound like silliness to you.
Like having a kick or a punch button, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I play on a gamepad, so I have to think about these things.
Well, the irony, though, is that we don't get that anymore, because now we have parry and DI in those spots.
That's true. Yeah, you'd have to actually bind them, right? So having DI and parry as one button, to me, have to do it. There's no, like, if you're not doing that, you're not playing the game right.
Man,
you don't want to bet on mispressing medium punch and medium kick at the same time.
Yeah, agree. I one thing that I think that's really interesting with because your parrying is like something that I have yet to see anybody else do in this game. And your left trigger is parry, so therefore you have right trigger.
It's left trigger. The button is left trigger, because left stick and right stick are technically where LB and LT would be.
Okay.
But it is my right trigger, so it's above my right index finger, basically.
Okay, yeah. So you have full mobility during that time with your thumbs, right? And I feel like for a hitbox, if I were to like really want to mod that out, like I would want to use my left thumb for parry. I'm just thinking out loud right now, and I maybe there's a way to rebind your buttons.
The only way you could do it is like the jump button. You'd have to rewire to be parry.
Yeah, or just make another button, like move the KKK button to my left thumb from my right pinky. All this to say, what is your opinion on the modern controls debate, and like whether it should be tournament legal and whatnot?
Well, it should absolutely be tournament legal. It's in the game. That's fine.
Okay.
I think if you're doing that, you're a fucking fool. I have yet to see the advantages that modern control would get you over having full control of your classic. Like, okay, here's what I understand. I understand it's easier to do specials.
Yes.
Obviously, that's great. That's awesome. Specials don't win you the game. Normals and positioning do. So you still have to do that, and your normals are severely fucking handicapped with the modern controls.
Right.
You have to do them in really weird ways. That to me is the fatal flaw of modern controls. Is I never feel like I have the full control I want, because if I want a specific normal, I can't always get what I want. Now it's great that you can like, oh, I get this one normal in only the situations I want it. That's great when in the situation you want it. When in the situation you don't want it, you know,
Yeah.
that's where I think like it falls apart. The only reason I think they totally overthought it, and I think the specials part is good. I think the normals part I think is really odd. I get that they wanted it so it's like easy combos and stuff like that, which it makes sense for that. But I think in the heat of the moment, like if I need to do jab, counter fierce, or jab, counter hit, forward medium punch with Chun or something like that, and it's super wonky to get it, that's going to feel way worse than like. Now, the other thing, the nice thing about the way the game is designed is that drive rush, you can get that without, it doesn't matter. You don't have to press the buttons to do that. That's just a forward input.
Right.
So that's good. You can always get that. But if I have to do like a kind of particularly kind of wonky situation to get the conversion that I want, I'm not going to be able to get it. I'm not going to be able to get it without doing some kind of weird wizardry with my hands, which I don't want to do. You can see I have a button literally designed to do EX moves. That's how literally how lazy I'm being with it. Any more work than that, it's too much mental stack. I already have to use a lot of it just to. Here's what I don't want to do. I don't want to perfect parry something, drive rush, and then immediately link. Oh, I have to hit this button in this way. No, I'm not doing any of that. I didn't sign up for this. I'm not doing it. So it's great if you could do specials. If you could do Guile wombo combos, super great. I think that's awesome. Please do. Just know I don't feel the same way, and I'm gonna drive rush. I'm gonna just do drive rush into stuff at you and hope. And my guess is you're not gonna be able to hit the right normal you want to counter that, and you're gonna die. That's how I feel about it. Like I understand the modern controls thing is fun to troll, like like people who just like they do like the soy jack like crying thing about like the fact that like easy controls would like take over. Like that's fun. I just don't think there's a lot of substance to it, but it is funny to think like you can't do specials with one button.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I was thinking about that recently, and I think it was we were taping the Tuesday show or the normal podcast with Benny, and I realized that like because everyone cries about one button supers, right, and how you can react and stuff like that, and the reaction thing is annoying to people, but I realized that one of the
that's like a huge discourse. It's like, oh my god, they can do supers easy. Like,
yeah, and but
they're doing that thing.
Yeah, in Burnout though, right? Being in block stun and trying to mash a super out during block stun, fucking sucks. On hitbox, on stick, on pad, right? But with modern controls, if it's one button, like
super easy.
That does change the meta or the matchup even a little bit. Like it changes how you use drive, because if you're suddenly not as scared of burnout because you have a more reliable way out, it could influence how the character.
Is it true you also do less damage in modern controls?
I actually posted a tweet about that today, and I had to delete it because I was wrong. So apparently there's 80% scaling on special moves that are performed with modern control inputs. And I say that very specifically because your damage is basically the same, and if you do the special move with the proper input, it is basically 100%. The same. Yeah. So
but if you one button, then it'll be a little bit less.
Right. So I also like kind of took an aggressive stance against that, against folks that are crying and doing my crybaby impression too. But like there is a little bit of nuance to that point, in that the damage nerf isn't as prevalent as we are being led to believe.
Yeah, well, if you're doing an uppercut and it's like 80% scaling, it's like, okay, it went from doing 140 to 120.
Right.
Something like that. That's not that bad. Yeah, I agree. I didn't know how bad it was. So I still think, to me, the negatives of like it's really good in these situations is not worth like, well, it's not great in every situation. I don't want a control scheme where like I can't have access to my best options in every scenario. Now that could be me being like turbo nerd, and it probably is. But I like doing super, like you said, out of block stun is hard.
Yeah.
It's just not easy. I did it maybe twice in the whole beta, but I'll take that because I didn't want to be in burnout in the first place. And to me, it's cold comfort, the idea that, well, you can super out of burnout really easily. Well, I didn't want to be in burnout in the first place. So I don't want to be in that situation. Now it's going to happen. It's bound to happen. I feel like that's not enough to give up that level of that small level of control that, to me, while small, is still nuanced enough to care about, versus, hey, you can get out of some situations a little easier.
Isn't that a bit of an Ouroboros though? Because you're like, I don't want to. I don't want to. I'll take being in. I shouldn't be in burnout because, or rather, what am I trying to say? If I'm super, or if I'm burnt in burnout and I cannot talk. I need to cut this part. I'll probably.
You said Ouroboros. That's going to take all your mental stats.
That basically was what it was. I'm like, I'm going to sound so fucking smart.
I get what you're saying. You're saying
because you don't want to be in burnout because you can't easily super, right? But if you can, then maybe burnout isn't that bad anymore, right?
So first of all, that's horseshit. I don't believe that at all. Because
you don't like my Ouroboros, man.
It's not a bad idea. It's like I always say this. It's like the Holy Spirit. It could be water. Water. The Holy Spirit is like water. It could be God. It could be the Father. Blah, blah, blah. It could be water. It could be ice. It could be steam. That's an amazing argument for like 10 minutes. But the truth is, like, if I can super out of one block string, that's great. That is never going to win. That's not going to win me a match on any replicable scale. It's going to work. It's going to win me a match 1 out of 10 times. It's like, the fact that I could super out of this pressure, that it got me the victory.
It's more that my offensive options are become more dangerous now because I'm not scared of burning out, and so I could theoretically win.
Yeah, but the what I'm scared of being in burnout is not that I can't super out of strings. Okay, that's not what I'm afraid of. I'll learn how to do it. I'll complain about it, but I'll learn how to do it.
Okay.
That's not what I'm scared of. What I'm scared of is that people are going to loop pressure on me, and the only way out is to super to get a mild bit of advantage before I still got to play out the whole burnout. That's what I'm scared of. I'm not scared of like, I can't. Because also, a lot of times when people are doing pressure on you in burnout, you're still guessing on supering through. There's not a lot of like super reactable, like, they're doing a super reactable thing I can super through. Most people are doing like jab. I know Jeff is an insane old man. He will super through anything. That's awesome for him.
Yes, he will.
Yes, he will. Absolutely. That and we thank him for that. But I don't want to bet the farm on like, I can do it with one button so I can react easier. Like, I don't want to be in burnout to do that, because to me, the fear of burnout is not supering out of pressure. It's that the pressure is so overwhelming that my only option is super.
Got it.
And so it's like, to me, I don't fear burnout anymore. That's not true. I fear burnout. And also, if I'm in a situation in round 1 where I only have one level 1 super, it's going to do a decent amount of damage or whatever, but it's not going to get me out of the woods. I'm still in it, no matter what. So to me, that I can super easier, that's very cool. It's kind of like the hitbox thing where, with hitbox, a lot of people will do like they'll do that over the fact that you can like super with like 2 inputs or whatever. And that's like cheating or something. What is that? Who's winning the games off of that? No, it's not happening. They're not. It's a cool thing. It's not. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's not worth it. But I'm also saying, like, I feel like, like hitbox gives less disadvantages than putting the modern controls, which, again, if I don't have control over what my normals can do in a pressure situation, my head is, I'm going to have to do so much work to rewire it that I might as well just be picking up a new control scheme anyways. It's not making it easier for me, at least to me.
Yeah.
That's my personal opinion. Now, if someone wants to use modern controls on me, feel free. Maybe I'll change my opinion in the full game release. But for now, I just don't. I want that control, and if I don't have it, I'm going to be very upset.
I think I hear you loud and clear in that, modern controls is objectively worse than classic in your mind at this point in time.
But my mind could be changed.
Right, absolutely. And so if that scenario were to happen, and modern controls prove to be of equal footing, like, actually, let's take it a step further. If modern controls was better than classic controls, it had an advantage that was like a hey, this might be willing to switch to. Would you switch to it? B, would you be interested in banning it?
If it gave me a competitive advantage, yes, absolutely. But would I ban it? No. It's the same logic to me as the controllers. The controllers, we give people the leverage to play controllers because we ultimately know it's not the controllers that are doing the work, unless it's a turbo button, which we ban. We know that the thing that actually wins the match is the player's skills and their wits. If they can do things faster, that's awesome. Faster inputs is not cheating. So for me to ban it it's illogical. It doesn't make sense to me because I don't know what it's doing that's like cheating, because clearly the game was designed in mind with these moves. It's not like, oh, because the argument against hitbox is always like, well, they didn't know, they didn't account for hitbox and you can't use it. They always say that, right? Modern controls is not the same. They thought about the game working with those too.
Sure.
So, like you said, they already put the scaling in. There's probably other things we don't even know about. My guess is somebody will nerd out and dig into that.
Yeah.
But I don't see how that is any way more cheating than the hitbox argument, which I think is fallacious in and of itself too.
So I have recently, I saw a tweet today, and this will be the last thing I've got for you today. Okay. It was a tweet of somebody selling this new keycap for a mechanical button on a snack box, and it's just a giant bar, right? So that way you can easily reach it and then hit it. And it got me thinking. I'm like, that might be my line. And then I got a step further, and I'm like, well, so that looks unwieldy and dumb. But what if you had a foot pedal? And when you were talking about your parry being on your right trigger earlier, and I'm like, oh, that's a completely different hand from this movement. I wonder if I could do a foot pedal parry. That would be a terrible idea, because then you're doing 1 to 2 frame timing on your foot. But yeah, I just for a thought experiment, say it wasn't parry and it was DI, which was actually a pretty practical application of it. Would you feel that would be fair?
Well, the thing about a foot pedal, wouldn't it be an additional accessory with your controller? Because you'd have to have a controller, right? Like the foot pedal can't do everything, right?
I could literally have my punch button disabled on my stick, and then have a cable, coming out of the case wired to a foot pedal. It could be a Sanwa button on a brick, really, and it just had some electrical cables attached to it.
So I would just say you can't have shit attached to your controller like that. Like that to me, okay. That's an easy one. Because if you have a Guitar Hero controller or whatever, that's still all on the control. There's not an additional. Well, I'm also using the drum kit at the same time. If you did that, I'd be like, get the fuck out of here. You can't use the drum kit and the guitar at the same time. In the same way, which also, by the way, the Rock Band drum kit has a foot pedal. That's why I'm referencing it.
Okay.
So if you just wanted to use the drum kit and it had the foot pedal, I'd be like, well, do as you may, but also we have logistics to think about and blah blah blah. That's what I'd be mad at. But if you wanted to use that'd be okay. But if you have a controller like a hitbox and you've got this jury rigged fucking brick with a one Sanwa button on it that you hit with your toe, and you've cut the sole of your shoe so your big toe sticks out, you can easier do it. That's what I'd be like, dude. Give me the shoe. You're gonna walk out of here. You're gonna walk out of here in your socks, because that's stupid. First of all, number two, you got to put that foot pedal away. Get it out of here. I'm not going to have this. Yeah. So that's the one.
Yeah. Your line would be there too, right? Okay.
Yeah. Stuff like that. It's well, no one's going to take a foot. If someone saw that foot pedal, they'd be like, disqualified. It's not even an option, right? You'd say that's so silly. Now I've seen ones where there was that box where it was it was a leverless controller that I think it was called the Nemesis, and the button changed based on the context.
Yeah, that's it was a PCB. Yeah,
that's a little fucked up, because you don't even have to work to be in the situation. It's just contextual button.
Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense. That can do any input it wants. Literally any input based on the game.
Right.
Which I think is that's cheating to me.
It's macros. Yeah.
It's a macro. It's a hard macro that because PPP you still have to do the input. It is technically getting an EX move without hitting 2 buttons, but does anyone really sweat it? You've already done the hardest part. You have to do that on your own anyway. So to me, the button press is not the big deal. The simultaneous input assistance, if you were to call that cheating, I'd be like, dude, you're such a pussy. Honestly, dude, get out of here.
Okay.
Like that's ridiculous. It's like there's people who are like still like you can't oh, you can't button bind PPP. Like, are you serious? Like that's how bad it is. Like, dude.
That was that in Street Fighter 4 we had that for a little bit, and
I know,
they had to be disabled,
yeah.
even though it was part of the default settings for Street Fighter 4.
Setting.
Yeah.
So like, because the argument is always like, well, the game was made so it would, that's not how you play it. And you can't see my arms are up to here because it's like a very weaselly short person saying this. Well, you can't do it because they didn't design the game with that. It's like, yes, they did. It's in the generic button binds. Of course they did. You got to be stupid to think that. Like, if they designed the game that way, because to me that argument is so bad because it's like, well, they didn't design the game that way, bro. Like, bruv, like we've been playing on regular goofy controllers all the time.
Yeah.
What hell is it? What's up with this? Killer Instinct. Who's to say that they released a Mad Catz TE with it? Who's to say when they made that they didn't even think about that? They just made it with the regular Xbox One gamepad in mind, and your stick is breaking the rules now.
I genuinely thought that actually when I was thinking about that one button super at a Burnout thing. I'm like, did they design this game for modern pad?
Or Injustice. Remember, in Injustice, they had to add alternate controls because they thought, well, maybe we don't want like a stick user to feel alienated, like they could deal with quarter circle forwards. So Mortal Kombat was not designed with a stick in mind, and you're using a stick. You, sir, are a cheater.
Okay,
I could do that. It's a dumb argument. If your argument is that easily beaten, you should rethink it. So I still haven't come across the ultimate hitbox argument. So if that does, maybe my mind about modern controls could be changed, but I haven't seen it.
Well, I appreciate
I'm no zealot. I'm no zealot, but I'm open to changing my mind, but the arguments so far are pretty rough. It's not looking good, Brev. It's not looking good.
Fair enough. Well, thanks, Tanner, for being on Absolute Extras, and we talked a lot of Street Fighter 6 today. We're coming up on the launch, man, and I'm looking forward to playing with you.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. You have more characters to play with. Basically about as much as a second beta. Because I think I think we're at 16, 17 characters in the launch roster. So
yeah.
If we had 8 or so in the beta, then we're going to have another 8 to play with, and they're completely different than the cast we got. If you just look at like with the tools they have and stuff. So
yep.
You're gonna have a lot to mess with, and it's gonna be interesting to figure out what's the first few months of a game coming out are always the most fun.
Yeah, it's like a group think thing. It's everyone's trading tech, everyone's hiding
figuring
tech.
out what's they're hiding it. They're tearing about this one character.
Yeah,
they're trying to get like they're adding Capcom and like fix this. All that stuff. It's great stuff. Can't wait.
So I'm sure this won't be the last time we speak about Street Fighter 6. This will be the last time
I actually don't intend to ever speak. I don't actually intend to ever speak to you again after this. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's been a great time then.
Yeah, I've loved the Absolute Guard, but I think it's time to go our separate ways.
Oh, bummer.
Much like Ryu, the fight is all I know, so I will be abandoning in pursuit of the fight. So.
In that case, I will also join you with that fight, and we'll train together.
All right, there we go. Well, then the problem solved. Okay, I'm back.
Yep,
we're so back.
To everybody who is listening, if you have an NRS player in your scene that is picking up Street Fighter 6, play with them because they are going to show you more about the block button, the parry button, than any Capcom player would. Just outright.
It's possible.
Cool. Well, any shout outs on the way out here, Tanner?
Shout outs to Perry. It's a good move.
Perry. Yeah.
I like it. Drive Perry. It's a little undersung in my opinion. I think a lot of people we aren't looking really into it too much because I think they see the big glowing risk on it and think it's not worth it. But
it's the future.
It's the future. It is.
We'll put this in a time capsule and revisit it in a year and be like, man, Tanner called it, or man.
And man, when I'm sewing out about how bad Perry is, and I'm like, look, I can't win anything. I don't beat anybody. I'm pairing all the time and I get nothing. And John, why'd you ever talk me into this?
All righty. GG's, and we'll talk to you later. Have a good night.
All right. Bye, everybody.
See ya. Oh, by the way, you can find us on twitch.tv/Spiral Series, youtube.com/Spiral Series, and searching on Spotify for Absolute Guard. I got to find a better way to promote Spotify for our show, but like we are under Absolute Guard. So
yeah, it's a pretty good podcast app, believe it or not.
Yeah. thanks everybody for tuning in, and feel free to leave us any feedback. I kind of mentioned it on our previous show, but we are. I am less enthused about becoming a content creator, but I do like making things that people that we know who are listening like to hear. And I know that Street Fighter 6 in particular is something that a lot of people are subscribed to the YouTube channel for or on the Twitch stream for. And so I think we're going to keep talking about this. If Tanner decides to come back down from the waterfall from his training as a Ryu player or whatever,
it's possible. You have to convince me. I thought you were going to say for a sec, I'm not interested in being a content creator. However, I do like money. I was about to be like, bro, it's not looking good, bro.
Yeah, we're not getting money from this.
I was going to say, if you said that, I was like, oh no. I was going to have to step in. Okay.
We had the show, and I basically said, I'm done, like, being a TO, being community leader. This podcast is a fucking blast, but we know where we stand as far as like our numbers and whatnot. And so I know that the audience is the Arizona scene and people that happen to be a fan of Street Fighter 6 and possibly my Chun, possibly KingHippo's ability to parry any goddamn thing.
Possible. I could grow a fan base based on that. It's possible.
You got the Twitter threads to prove it.
It's true. It's proof. Yeah, I've done it at GameSpeed. Trust me, I proved it. Like I wouldn't talk the shit I do if I didn't think like, well, I've played against people who know what they're doing, and it still works like all the time. So,
yep, agree.
Yeah.
So, again, if you have any feedback, let me know. I've received some feedback recently, and I hear more Street Fighter 6, and I hear less Street Fighter 6 in some other circles. So, I would love to hear what you have to say about it. So, thanks everybody. We'll see you next time.